All that laughing and hilarity in our Throwback Thursday Open. There won't be any of that today. I run a much tighter ship.
Oh, boy.
When Woods is out of town.
Oh, boy.
Good morning, and welcome to the Ben and Woods program. Without the Woods today, I'm Ben Higgins, joined by our executive producer, Paul Reindl. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning, Benjamin.
Usually to my right is our inspirational leader, our emotional heartbeat of the Ben and Woods program, Stephen Woods.
President of the Tier 1s.
He is today with his entire family, I believe, his wife, his two children, either on the road up to Anaheim, California, or soon to be on the road up to Anaheim, California, for a day at Disneyland. Not just any day at Disneyland, though. A May the 4th at Disneyland, as in May the 4th be with you. And he said
that is a bold strategy.
Yeah, I think so too. He said, I read on an internet post that if you go early, you'll miss some of the Star Wars crowds, and they arrive later for some of the festivities later in the day. I didn't have the heart to tell him that I thought that was pure malarkey, that Disneyland is going to be jammed with Star Wars people from the opening rope drop until the fireworks at the end of the night, and it's going to be a crowded day.
I think his saving grace is going to be I don't know if his plan is to avoid the Disneyland area,
the Star Wars area of Disneyland,
yeah, which is now a pretty big portion of the map. But if look, we're just trying to get on, it's a small ride, and some of those smaller rides for a 5-year-old.
It's a small ride. Is that a flub? It's Small World.
Small World.
Yeah.
The Small World ride.
Yeah.
Those smaller rides, though, I would imagine you're going to be okay.
I guess so. I mean, I
wouldn't go anywhere near that back corner.
I think on any crowded day at Disneyland, and anyone who's been knows that, sure, the big rides, the premium attractions are going to have those long hour, 2-hour lines, and you can try to do the fast pass and get around, but when all those other lines start getting really, really long, well, what's the natural tendency? You know what? Let's go do one of the smaller rides that doesn't have as big of a line. And then what happens? Well, then the smaller rides all of a sudden have longer lines as well. And it just has a spillover effect on the rest of the park.
All right. Looking at the YouTube chat right now, Mike says over or under 5 hours at Disneyland.
Oh, under. I've got the under. Well,
significantly.
I mean, he thinks they'll be home. I mean, he said it on the show yesterday.
Times rope drop, like 8?
It depends on what day it is. My guess this morning is probably like at 8, if not 7 a.m. for such a big day. Sometimes it's at 9. I don't know, but he said that he thought they'd be home, like back home in Encinitas by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which means
8 a.m. So 5 hours would be 1 p.m.
Right. That's a good over under,
because
to get home by 3, they'd probably be wanting to start walking out around 1 o'clock if that's true. But anything goes wrong before that, I can see them pulling the plug at or even before noon. Like they're at some point they're being, can we make it to lunch? Are we going to get to lunch? Maybe we'll do an early lunch at like 11:30 and then we'll just head on out at that point. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
I imagine a Mickey sighting is probably on the list.
Sure. Yeah, characters. So when you have the little
maybe
kids,
that's the thing. Maybe if they get that done by 9 a.m., then all bets are off. But if it's noon and they still haven't found Mickey,
the character meet and greets are much bigger when your children are the age that Woods's kids are.
Yes.
When they get to, older, then it's all about, the rides and getting as many of them as possible.
I picture Taylor just running around the house this morning. Mickey, Dada, Mickey, Dada, Mickey.
Maybe just screaming for no reason whatsoever, as he tends to do sometime. But if they are on the road, best of luck to all of you in the Woods family on the road. And drive safely, by the way. We do have some rain, which will add a little level of complication to the whole enterprise this morning. I would say it would keep the crowds down a little bit, but that's not going to happen on May the 4th. So good luck to everybody in that automobile this morning.
So sick of driving to work in the morning in the rain.
Yesterday, Paulie and I, after the show, much to Woods' chagrin, went without him down to Petco Park, where we were able to record an interview with Brent Honeywell, which we'll play for you later on the show this morning. I think we have that slotted in for 7:35. Fun conversation. Interesting guy. Wasn't
a very interesting
Wasn't
cat.
exactly like I expected him to be, but I really did enjoy the conversation and his kind of whole approach and his thoughtfulness, I would say.
Here's the thing with Brent Honeywell, and it can be a little shocking at first. I had actually a couple of people talk to me that I was talking to before we met with Honeywell, and they said, look, he's great. He's very thoughtful, though. You're going to think he's done talking, and he's really just thinking in his head about the next sentence that he's about to say. And like, if we were on the phone with Brent Honeywell, that would have been very frustrating. We would have thought he was done. And anyways, we're talking to Brent. Oh, sorry, Brent. Never mind. I didn't know you were still going there.
Well, I would be doing that.
You
obviously.
would be doing that. It was a little bit easier in person, but I really appreciate when an interviewee, a guest, will put that thought into their answers and not just blurt out the first thing that pops into their head. Very cool conversation. Looking forward to playing that for you guys at 7:35.
Yeah, even in person, there were a couple of times we just had the one microphone for the three of us, and I was kind of either passing it to you or him and just holding it in front of the faces. There were a couple of times where I was holding it in front of him and I thought he might be done, and I started tilting it back toward one of us to ask another question, and he started again. So
he wasn't done.
I'd move the microphone back in front of his face, but better than interrupting him during a phone call. Not sure if he was done with his statement or not. So yeah, a thoughtful, as you said, conversation with Padres relief pitcher Brent Honeywell, and I was relieved that we didn't put any sort of Ben and Paul jinx on him yesterday, because he did pitch a scoreless inning in relief of
we
Seth
talked to him
Lugo.
before the game.
We did. We talked to him before the game. We did nothing to interrupt his preparation, apparently. Maybe we're a good luck charm for Brent Honeywell going forward. So he's not going to have a bad feeling like, those are the guys I talked to, and I went out and gave up 5 runs.
Never doing that again.
Lost the game. I do not want to talk to those guys again. Because, there are a lot of superstitious ball players who will, of course, blame anybody but themselves, and they've got an easy scapegoat and a couple of radio hosts. They'll do so, but nothing like that. Brent Honeywell pitched well. Padres got the win, and Paul stole a car, apparently.
I didn't steal a car.
I just found this out when this is at Petco Park yesterday.
Yeah.
You gave it back.
I didn't steal.
You borrowed a car.
I didn't even borrow it. I just got in the wrong car.
You got in the wrong car.
It's not like a stranger lured me into the car. So,
hello, little boy. Would you like some candy? I got in the car. You weren't lured in.
I parked in a parking structure at, I don't know what time we got there, 10:30 after the show. Probably 11:30, almost noon, after we wrapped up down on the field, and I wanted to get home to the dogs, watch the game from my couch. When I pulled into the parking structure that was fairly empty already at 10 a.m., 10:30 on a weekday, kind of had my pick of the spots. I picked a spot near the elevator.
Sure.
And it was the last spot on the line before handicap parking spots. So I'm like, perfect. I don't expect a lot of handicap cars to be here. I might be able to just swing my door open and get in and out easily when I get back. So I parked on the far end. I got off the elevator to go back to my car. I was checking something or texting on my phone, so I wasn't paying a ton of attention, but I walked right towards my car.
The one that was on the end.
On the far end.
Looked like is at the end.
Beeped my key fob to unlock it, and I got in. And I shut the door. And when I put my hands on the steering wheel, I go, this isn't my car. Somebody had pulled into the handicap spot on my left and had a similar colored car, a sedan as well. And I don't know if my key fob worked on their car or if they left it unlocked.
But it was open, and
I got in. And as soon as I sat down, I realized, this is not my car.
Okay, so I think everyone has done I've gone up to someone else's car because it looked like mine. I wasn't totally paying attention, and someone parked near me that had a dark colored SUV like mine or whatever. And you walk up and it's like, it's locked. I thought I unlocked it. And then you look in and you see, hey, that's not my stuff on the front seat.
Right.
That's not, oh, this isn't my car. My car's, two over here. I just missed it. I went to the wrong one. But I've never actually gotten into someone else's car.
Why did it open? I don't know. They left it. It's not my fault. The door was unlocked.
I mean, you're lucky. This is, California.
There was no alarm,
some states,
nothing.
they're in their rights to shoot you if
Probably.
you get in their car.
There was nobody in the car.
That's good.
I was just.
Did you just see what they had in like the console?
I didn't know anything. I got out. I was terrified. I was freaked out. I was like, this has never happened to me. Why am I in the wrong car? And then I looked over to my right. I'm like, sure enough, oh, there's my car. Somebody had pulled in that hour and a half or whatever. And like I said, I was just not paying attention. Beeped the key fob. Thought for sure this was my car. The door opened. This has to be my car. It was not my car.
I guess since it's foreplay and we're telling parking garage stories from yesterday, I'll give you mine. It's not nearly as dramatic as your parking garage story, but it's fairly on brand. So I actually stuck around after the Brent Honeywell interview and stayed for the game, at least for a few innings, but then I had to get into Channel 10. So I left pretty early. I think after the third inning, I left and went back to the parking garage so I could go back to Channel 10. And I get in my car and I pull around to the exit, which is the entrance where, people, they take your money and let you go in and pull the arm up. But there's no one there and the arms are down. So
yeah,
I don't know how to get out. And then I pull back, I reverse, and I go to the other entrance in the front and the arms are also down. Now I don't have like a ticket or anything. I've got a media placard that lets me get in, a little hanging tag, but there's no one there to let me out. And there's nothing, I don't have anything that I can scan or anything to get out. So eventually a security guard walks out and goes, "Can I help you?" And I go, "Yeah, I just need to leave. Can you open the gate for me?" And he goes, "Well, do you have your ticket?" And I go, No. I came in for the Padres game. I got my media placard here. I just, I'm not able to stay. So can you let me out? "Well, no, you don't get free parking. You need a ticket to get out so you can pay." And I go, No, I don't pay for parking. I'm working and I've got my thing here.
Said, "Son, do you know who I am?"
He goes, "Well, can you estimate how long you've been here? And then we'll just charge you based on that." And I go, No, I don't think you're totally understanding. And finally he gets on his walkie-talkie and like chats with the supervisor and he goes, "Yeah, he's got this red hanging tag here. It says events." And they go, "Oh, okay. Yeah, and finally he opens the arm and lets me out. But I was actually being held hostage.
Oh my God.
Inside one of the parking structures at Petco Park for about
stole
5 to 10
parking.
minutes. You stole the car. I just stole parking yesterday at Petco Park. But couple of criminals,
couple of deviants
this morning on Ben and Woods. All right, we got a
fun times.
We got a Woodsless show. I want to say it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a different show.
I think it's going to be a good show. It's not going to be different. Okay, we don't have 4 NBA interviews. We're not going to talk.
I mean, the one NBA game last night was a dud.
It was a terrible game.
I got nothing for you on that, really.
We've got some great Padres content. If you missed it yesterday, Sam Levitt had a one-on-one with Juan Soto. It was like 5 minutes long. I heard a little bit of it on the pregame show. He was telling me about it down at Petco Park yesterday, and it was great. Phenomenal stuff. We're going to replay that, of course.
Luis says on our YouTube chat, "No matter what, this show wouldn't be the same without Ben, Woods, or Paul. Each contribute their own personality the show needs and has been thriving on. Love you guys." And then I said Luis, the show won't be the same today then, because Woods is not here, but I hope you stick around anyway.
His nice way of saying today's going to suck.
Well, no, he said that before. I think he even knew that Woods wasn't going to be here. It was a very nice, genuine comment, and I was forced to disappoint him that the show will not be the same today. But it is Ben and Paul. We will get to the Daily Ditty. I get to choose this selection. It is bands with siblings that make up part or all of the band. So we will do that coming up next.
On where you're going to go.
I think there's a couple of options I've got.
There was 2 or 3 bands that I saw on the list of bands with siblings in them. And I thought, I better not pick this. I should save this one for Ben.
And then we'll get to our Padres wrap up at the bottom of the hour from a 7-1 win over the Cincinnati Reds and a series victory. It's all coming up this morning. Ben and Woods and Paul on San Diego's #1 sports station. Let's get our first check of traffic this morning with Kelly Danick.
Yeah, it's about as Ben Higgins as it gets.
I guess so. I don't know. I feel like disco got a very bad rap at some point, but who doesn't enjoy listening to a little "Staying Alive" by the Bee Gees, the brothers Gibb,
I like it.
siblings?
I'm not gonna critique it.
I guess I was born in 1975, as was Woods. Paul, you're younger than that, so none of us really experienced the disco era. I was alive for it, but obviously too young to really, participate in, the New York nightclub scene when I was, 3. But as I have done a lot of research for our Take on Woods games every day and kind of going through different eras of music and learning a little bit more because it was never my total area of expertise, I guess I always thought it was like a popular like fad, like a sub music genre. Like, there were tons of disco fans in the 70s. I was going through like 1978. It wasn't a fad. 5 of the top 8 songs for the entire year were either the Bee Gees or Andy Gibb as a solo artist. They were enormous. I mean, like absolutely everywhere in the late 70s. And I guess I didn't totally realize that was how popular the Bee Gees and disco was in that particular era of time.
The silk clothing.
The white pants and the everything from Saturday Night Fever was just, it was a style. And everything does come back, into fashion, I guess, at some point. I know there's some people who've tried to bring some of that 70s look back a little bit, but I don't know that it's ever truly going to be popular again. It feels like that might be a look that's just a one-off.
Would it surprise you if at some point the Padres turned the piñata party into a celebration disco?
It would not surprise me. Hang a disco ball,
like a giant, like a ridiculously big disco ball in the middle of the clubhouse.
It's a good question. I wondered how much staying power does the piñata party celebration have? Because if everything goes the way we expect or hope,
now
for
we
the Padres
know
this
at
year.
least. I was wondering. They were riding a 3-game winning streak at one point this week.
They
right?
did
Monday. They won Monday.
Yeah.
They did it again, and I go, all right. So does this go until they lose?
And then
they lost on Tuesday. Like are they going to bring it back? Now we know because Brett Sullivan got to take a crack at the piñata last night.
No, I've heard they're stocking up on piñatas at Petco Park. But if the season goes the way they expect, and we all expect it to, we're talking about a minimum of there's 17 and 15 right now. So we're talking about a minimum of 70 to 75 more wins that we're expecting, maybe even 80 more wins or so. Is that going to feel a little stale? Like after 55 more wins in August that they are still smashing a piñata every single time after the game? I don't know. Maybe it'll be fresh. And
somebody on Facebook is already very upset that they're continuing to do it, I'm sure. But seeing the reaction of all the players in all 4 now of those videos, like I cannot get enough of it. I love it. I want more of it. And if that's what it takes, if that's what's going to get these guys feeling loose, good team camaraderie, having fun with each other, I am so in favor of it.
It doesn't really matter whether you like it or not. If it gets your team together and they're all enjoying something, especially after a victory at the end of the game, they're not, again, in the 70s, you'd win a baseball game and the team would go out and have 17 beers together after the game to celebrate. Smashing a piñata and dancing to some music for a minute or two, probably a not much healthier way for a team to celebrate a win. So I'm not going to complain about it at all. And the more piñatas we see smashed is a good thing. That means Padres are winning baseball games like they did yesterday. So, and we're going to talk
all of the piñata parties.
Yeah, for now, as many as the Padres can feed us, we are happy to have. And we'll talk about that 7-1 win. Get you all the highlights coming up in our Padres wrap up here in just a couple of minutes at the bottom of the hour. I can remind you can win a trip to see Guns N' Roses at a U.S. stop of your choice on their 2023 World Tour, including round-trip airfare, hotel, tickets, and a $200 gift card. Just go to 973thefansd.com/GNR to enter for a chance to win in this national contest. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. We'll have to address whatever Juan Soto was thinking in the 5th inning of the game yesterday, the play that ultimately did end up costing Xander Bogaerts
So weird. I have so many questions.
His 32 game on base streak, and all 30 games he had played with the San Diego Padres, Xander Bogaerts had gotten on base at least once, either by hit or walk or hit batsman, but getting on by a fielder's choice, which is what ended up happening on the bizarre play. If you didn't see it, Xander Bogaerts, singled to right. I say he singled to right because that's what it looked like he did.
Right fielder's running in,
yeah,
dives for the ball and does the old trap.
Short
hop, caught it. I mean, to the naked eye, you could think he caught it.
I mean,
or you could think it dropped.
Yeah, I mean, it was
tough.
On TV. It was fairly clear that he didn't make the catch.
If you were in the stadium, you may not have known.
It's possible
because he trapped it so quickly that the ball was in his glove, but it hit the grass. It was a base hit.
But Juan Soto, who was on first base, and I guess thought it was going to drop because he took off towards second,
right,
and then started rounding third.
Rounded second,
rounding toward third. Panicked and turned around, touched second again, and started sprinting back toward first base,
thinking the right fielder caught it.
Yes, and of course, since he didn't, he became an easy mark for a fielder's choice at second base. They tagged the bag, and he was forced out, which took the hit away from Xander Bogaerts.
And that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, well, let's discuss that as well.
I didn't look into the rules because I figured I'll just ask you.
A lot of discussion actually on Twitter about the correct ruling and why that is or is not or should be a hit or should be a fielder's choice getting on base. Should the streak end? Should it not end? So we can talk about that as well as the game. We'll have all of the highlights coming up next with Ben and Paul on a Disneyland Thursday for Woods on May the 4th on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Old Town San Diego. Viva la Fiesta. Cinco de Mayo in Old Town San Diego.
There you
Let's
go.
Fiesta this Cinco de Mayo in Old Town. Enjoy delicious cuisine, live entertainment, and unique artisanal finds in Old Town on May 5th, 6th, and 7th. That'll be Cinco de Mayo, Seis de Mayo, and Siete de Mayo for spectacular memories. Cinco de Mayo, OldTown.com has the details. Viva la Fiesta, Cinco de Mayo in Old Town, San Diego. We used to do that when I was a kid. We go to Old Town, not necessarily for Cinco de Mayo, but we do the kind of almost the touristy thing. I remember going into, they had one of the candy stores, and I would always get the rock candy, like the old timey rock candy on
Like
a
the
stick.
Pop Rocks?
No.
Rock.
Just basically like sugar crystallized on a stick.
Got it.
And sometimes they put a little color on it, so it could be like blue or green or pink or something. But it was really just a big hunk of sugar, and you'd like kind of lick it a little bit, and eventually it would start crumbling and chew on it. It was just pure sugar, nothing else, no flavoring added to it. But I loved the rock candy in Old Town when I was growing up.
I think there's a few drops in that sentence you just said that I should probably go back and say if you
Perhaps.
you loved the rock.
I love the rock. Yeah. Be careful out there on the roadways.
Dude,
it is, at least here in our Odyssey Empire Studios,
Mission Valley area
coming down pretty well.
Pouring. Right now.
And looking at some of the traffic on the roadways, yeah, you can be careful out there. It's been a couple weeks, so you get slick roads as some of the oils kind of reemerge onto the roadway. So please be very careful. Give yourself a little bit of extra time if you're getting ready this morning and watching us on your YouTube stream or listening on the Odyssey app. Take off a little bit early if you want to get to work on time. The roadways could end up being kind of busy this morning. It is supposed to, I think, lighten up this afternoon. It's just
it is nasty
a little morning,
now.
but right now it is not good out there, not looking good.
Drive slow. Listen to
more Ben and Paul,
your favorite morning show.
Exactly, and we will wrap up the Padres victory from yesterday on a very nice day at Petco Park right after this check of the traffic with Kelly Danick here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Jack in the Box. Well, rain hitting a good part of the county this morning, guys. They just cleared this crash on northbound 805 for the King Freeway, but we're seeing a lot of residual slowing heading out of the South Bay. In the North County, dealing with a spin out southbound 5 near the racetrack, made it over to the right shoulder. And we still have this collision blocking the 2 left lanes on southbound 15. Just past Felicita. Looks like about 7 or 8 cars involved in that. When's the best time to get sweet, crisp French toast sticks starting at $2.50? Now. And when's the next best time? Right after that. They're back and available any time of day at Jack in the Box. I'm Kelly Danick with Bennerwood, San Diego's #1 sports station. 97.3 The Fan.
I love winning, man. I love winning. You hear what I'm saying? It's like better than losing.
Miss any of yesterday's Padres game?
Did you catch a game last night?
Well, we've got you covered.
Thank you.
It's the Padres Wrap-Up with Ben and Woods.
Let's go! It's our house right here, baby.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
That is the ball game, and that is a winner. 1-2 on the left-hand hitting catcher, Brett Sullivan. Here's the pitch, and Sullivan swings, hits it hard and fair down the right field line. Cronenworth's rounding third. He's going to come in to score. Sullivan hustling into second. He's got a double. Tim is on his way home. He will score. A 2-run double for Brett Sullivan. The first RBIs of his major league career, his first extra base hit as a big leaguer, and the Padres take a 2-0 lead in the second. Here's Sullivan. He swings at the first pitch, hits it in the air to deep right field. Fairchild's back. He's at the wall. This one gonna go! Brett Sullivan with his first home run in the big leagues. A 2-run shot, and the Padres double their lead, 4-0 here in the fourth. Pitch on the way, and first pitch curveball hit in the air deep to left field. Soto over towards the corner, looking up, gonna go. A home run for Spencer Steer. Bases loaded, 2 outs. First pitch on the way. Juan swings, lines it to right field. That's a fair ball. Gonna roll all the way to the wall. Odor has scored. Grisham has scored. Tatis racing home. He will score a 3-run double for Juan Soto, who has turned into a 2-bagger machine. And the Padres lead it 7-1 in the 6th. A ball and 2 strikes to Kevin Newman. Cosgrove set. Here's the pitch, and that is sent in the air straight away center field, not deep. Trent Grisham is there. He calls for it. He makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Padres take 2 out of 3 from the Cincinnati Reds as they win this one by a final of 7-1. Huge day for Brett Sullivan, and Juan Soto a 3-run double to ice it in the 6th inning.
That's how you take care of business right there.
Yeah, I think we're going to call that the Brett Sullivan game going forward for the San Diego Padres. Maybe there will be other.
There was a few MVPs from yesterday.
There will be other Brett Sullivan games in the future, but he got to smash the piñata afterwards, getting his first 2 career RBI in the 2nd inning on the double, and then his first career home run in the 4th inning on a first pitch swing. Very nice.
Yeah.
Getting the Padres a 4-0 lead at that point. Last year, of course, it was Jorge Alfaro who had all the heroics as the backup catcher. Not a walk-off, but certainly a game that Brett Sullivan is never going to forget. He was in the minors for, I think, it's 8 years before finally getting his opportunity here. And who knows how long he's going to be up when Luis Campusano gets healthy again.
He's 29 years old. Like
Yeah.
that's old to make your MLB debut. And man, to see somebody grind for that long, and who knows what the Brett Sullivan career is going to look like, but he will always have yesterday, and that's a special moment to watch as a fan.
And I promise you, whether he either admits it or talks about it, there were moments in those 8 years, like difficult moments where you have to decide, do I want to keep doing this? Is this worth it?
Yeah.
Is there going to be a payoff at the end? Or am I just wasting my time and falling behind in life where I need to get a real job and I need to plan for what I'm going to be doing for the next 40 years because it ain't going to be baseball and I'm not going to get this dream. So there have been some hard moments. And
I mean, think about Drew Maggi, the guy on the Pirates that we've been talking about. What was 11 years in the minors before he finally got called up this year? Last year, a really awesome documentary came out on Nolan Ryan. I think it was Facing Nolan. And even Nolan Ryan, wasn't sure that he was cut out to be a professional baseball player, and the grind and all of that. And his wife was like, just give it one more year and look what happened to him.
And I'm sure the stories like Drew Maggi and Brett Sullivan have inspired other minor leaguers to stick with it, give it another year.
Crash Davis.
Give it one more year. Maybe this will be the one. We never hear about the multitude of guys who stick around for 7 or 8 years and they never do come up. They never get their chance. We do hear about the ones that do. They get their even just cup of coffee because it's such a good story. It's a feel-good story. And baseball needs those minor leaguers. They need those guys with dreams to.
I've told you before, I had a buddy I played with in high school. He was a year younger than me. Best player I've ever played on a field with. And he was drafted in the 3rd round, spent 5 or 6 years in the minor leagues, and he was climbing, and he jumped from, I think, AA to the professionals, played in one game, got a pinch hit, double off the wall at Yankee Stadium. Awesome. Got the game card and the ball and everything. Got the start the next day, struck out 3 times, finally drew a walk or got hit or something, and he was on first base, was going to steal. Dude was faster than hell. He was going to steal. They pick him off. He dives back to first base, pops his collarbone out. Never made it back to the show.
Wow.
Never again.
And then
you never know, man.
I would imagine though that just that taste was probably felt like it was worth it though, just to get up there and be one of those. As we've said it many times, you could put every single person who has ever played in the big leagues into Petco Park and there'd still be 20,000 seats left over. That's how few people in the history of history have ever made it to the big league.
The history of Major League Baseball, back to the late 1800s.
Yeah, Babe Ruth days and before, you could fill them all up.
Every single guy that's ever put on the uniform, it would be a half-empty Petco Park.
Yep, and that's why it is so special for guys like Brett Sullivan, who, he may not have a long career in Major League Baseball. He may get sent down in a couple of weeks and never come back up again. But even if he doesn't, he will have the memories, and especially of yesterday when he got the home run and he played a critical role in the Padres 7-1 win over the Reds. As you said, though, there were other stars of the game yesterday. Let me start with a bit of an unsung star, and that is Trent Grisham, who had, I thought, a phenomenal play that set the tone in the first inning. And I've never seen this totally work before. You've probably watched Trent Grisham playing in center enough where you've seen him do his little deke move. When a guy hits a floater into center field, he'll flash his hand up like he's about to catch it to try to, if there's a runner on first, to try to get him, keep him from going first to third, just keep them honest out there so they're not just running amok on the base paths. And it's always struck me as a fairly half-hearted fake. Like, I can read it. I mean, I'd imagine that other runners who have studied Trent Grisham at all will say, oh, I've seen that deke. Yeah, he's definitely not going to catch that one. I've seen that move 30 times by Trent Grisham. He's never going to get there. And I thought, that's fine, though. You put the effort in, you try at least to keep him honest on the base paths. So yesterday, with a runner on first base in the first inning, a fly ball is lofted out to center field, and Trent Grisham kind of starts going up on it and then begins to pull up a little bit as though he's not going to make it. And then he does his deke move, like I'm going to make it look like I'm going to catch it to try to get you, stopped. And then he puts his glove down, and the runner takes off thinking, oh, he's trying to deke, and I caught him. He's not actually going to catch it. I am sprinting off. And then, of course, Trent Grisham catches the ball.
Right.
It's the double deke and picks the runner off first base behind him on the throw for a double play. It was such a next level. It was almost like a check raise in Texas Hold'em poker. You're kind of double bluffing, going, you've got your opponent, but you think, I know what you know that I know, so I'm going to take it to the next level, and I'm actually going to fake that I'm going to catch it, but then really catch it for real and see if I can fool you. And it was very, I thought it was a nice little savvy move by what has become one of the premier center fielders in all of baseball.
Yeah, he had a good day at the plate, 3 for 5. Crony had a couple knocks. I thought Soto had a pretty good day at the plate. I mean, Seth Lugo could be your player of the game. Like, he had a lot of good contributions, and the team did exactly what we said they needed to do this time yesterday. Like, look, Luis Cessa, you got to pound him. You got to win this game. It's not a must win, of course, but you got to win that series against that team. They took advantage of the pitching, and just about everybody got on base.
Everyone but Xander Bogaerts got on base yesterday for the Padres. Seth Lugo, it's the third consecutive quality start for a Padres starter every game of the series, with Blake Snell, Michael Wacha, and now Seth Lugo
Pitching
is a quality
has been phenomenal this week.
Yeah, 6 innings, 7 hits, just the 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, and then the bullpen 3 shutout innings by Brent Honeywell, who we'll hear from coming up in our 7 o'clock hour. Tim Hill and Tom Cosgrove, all just getting the job done. And yeah, we did talk about it yesterday. It's amazing how often a Major League Baseball series will go like that. You'll have one team that's probably, on paper at least, the superior team, and then you've got the other team that comes in that, they're big leaguers, but not as good. And they'll play 3 games, and a lot of the time, the better team will win one close-ish game. They will lose one 1-run game, and then they'll win 1 blowout, and then they'll take the series 2 out of 3. It's uncanny when you look at it, how many times it plays out that way in Major League Baseball. And we talked about it yesterday. All right, it would have been great to sweep that series. You would have had to beat a good pitcher. They had their chances to in that game on Tuesday. They had the lead late. They were unable to do it, but they ended up following through on what was your standard, all right, we're better than you series. We're at home. We're taking 2 out of 3, and we're moving on with a convincing 7-1 win in the final game of the series. They did what they needed to do to move on.
I mean, it's what makes baseball great. Like, you would think if those two teams played each other 100 times, I would expect the Padres to win, I don't know, about 80 of them. But anything can happen on any given day.
Yeah, or 75, maybe like 3 out of 4 would probably be you're the
better team
somewhere. I mean, that's, and that's domination in baseball. That's not, that's not, I can't believe you're letting this inferior team win 20 to 25 out of 100. No. That's domination in baseball when you win at that clip. Even 2 out of 3, even winning 67%. I mean,
a win's a win is a win. I don't care if they won 1-0 or 14-13 or whatever. Like, a win is a win, but to really never let Cincinnati into the ball game, that's what we needed to see yesterday.
All guests on Meadow Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Not only will we hear from Brent Honeywell in our next hour, but Sam Levitt had a chance to talk with Juan Soto before the game yesterday, and he is absolutely on fire right now, hitting 450 over his last 6 games with, I think, 5 doubles and a home run and 8 runs batted in. His on-base percentage with
Even
3
some
walks,
of his outs, the balls that haven't landed, he has torched.
he has, and his on-base percentage all of a sudden is right back to 400. I think it's a tick under. He didn't get a hit in his last at bat, but 3 walks and that bases clearing double, and all of a sudden the numbers for Juan Soto are starting to look much more Juan Soto like, and it didn't take very long for him to get going and get back to what he was. He did have that one play we talked about, though, in the 5th inning where, I mean, it's kind of inexcusable. You can make light of it now because the Padres won the game easily. Xander Bogaerts will not get that on-base streak back. I don't think he cares that much. He just wants to win the game, and he'll start.
I promise you, he's more happy that they won.
But it was a very bizarre thing because you have base coaches whose job it is to let you know if you should keep running or turn around. There's signals. If you're rounding second, going toward third, you got an eye on that base coach. And if you've done something wrong, he'll let you know, like, turn around, stop, he caught it, you idiot, go back to first base. And Juan Soto wasn't getting that signal. So he must have looked out of the corner of his own eye and thought, oh my God, he caught that ball. But he did not obviously do what you're supposed to do. And that is, follow your base coach's instruction. Could have stayed at second or even advanced to third in that situation, costing Xander Bogaerts, which would have been a 31-game streak to open the season of reaching base.
I still don't understand
not getting on base at all.
Why it doesn't count as Xander reaching base.
It's a fielder's choice, an error or a fielder's choice.
Like that was a hit.
That's not getting well. I mean, you can argue that it should be counted as a hit. Like give an error on the base runner for the out.
It felt like if you hit one into the
gap,
batter. If you hit one into the gap and you get to second base and you think you can stretch it into a triple and you get thrown out at third, you're not. It's not an offer.
No, it's a double.
That is a double,
yeah.
And then you were thrown out trying to reach third.
I guess
it felt a little bit like that.
What if you hit one off the wall in center field, but as you run out of the box, you tear your hamstring and you're in agony between home and first, you never make it. It's still just basically a force out of first base.
That's not, you never got to first base though.
He did get to first base, but Juan Soto never technically got to second because he went back. It's like a 5-4 put out at second base. You could have grounded to the third baseman. Really doesn't matter where in the field it goes.
It seemed a little erroneous to me.
All right, we'll come back. We'll play some Real or Fake, and we'll hear from Juan Soto next here on 97.3 The Fan. Hour number 2 of a Ben and Paul Quattro de
May
Mayo.
the 4th.
May the 4th be with you Thursday. I'm getting ahead of myself. Not Cinco de Mayo yet. That's tomorrow when the Dodgers come to town.
What if we do an original, like, this has never been done on radio? What if we had like margaritas during the show?
Ooh. Well, I have my Star Wars movie rankings ready for you today if you wanted that for May the 4th be with you. I haven't
Get to that at like 10:05.
subjected you to it yet, but I have all 11 live action Star Wars movies broken down and ranked for you if we do want to go that direction
Do
at
that in
some
the
point
Higgins
this
report.
morning. Bonus content after the show. Just do my own, maybe Facebook video or something on that for you, Paulie.
Yeah.
Welcome back. It is Ben and Paul here on 97.3 The Fan. We were down at the ballpark yesterday and had a chance to chat with Brent Honeywell Jr., Padres relief pitcher. We'll have that conversation for you coming up at the bottom of the hour. We were just talking about Juan Soto, how he's heating up. His base running blunder yesterday that cost Xander Bogaerts his on-base streak.
Look, those things happen, and that was a very close play out in right field. I wasn't upset at Juan Soto. I was upset at the scoring. I don't see how that wasn't a hit for Xander Bogaerts.
There's no wiggle room in that though. If the runner is forced ahead of you, and that is ultimately what happened, you can't get a hit, no matter how hit like your batted ball was. That's just not how the rules of baseball work. Now, if they want to amend that, I saw some people saying maybe the scorer should have a little more discretion, like they can pick who gets the win if the starter doesn't go 5 innings. Hey, if that guy got a hit and he got to first base, even if a guy was a dummy and got thrown out on the base pads, he should get the hit. It's the runner who should be penalized with the out somehow. But right now, that's not how it works. So, unfortunately for Xander Bogaerts, he didn't get on base. He had 4 other chances to get on base, so I'm not going to say it's just Juan Soto's fault that the streak is over. And ultimately, it's not really even that big of a streak. I mean, he wasn't approaching any all-time record. It's not even a hit streak. It's just an on-base streak. So we're not talking DiMaggio territory here. And he's been a little under the weather. It was good to get him back in the lineup. Hopefully he'll start looking like Xander Bogaerts. He was fairly down in the locker room after. He's like almost apologetic. Like, no, I need to be better. I need to get going. Well, you actually did get a hit. We all saw it. You didn't really take an 0 for 5, Xander. So
you're fine.
Yeah, he's okay. He's done a great job for the Padres so far. And right now, Juan Soto is starting to do a great job. Before we play our real or fake and give you a chance to win some tickets to that Padres game, if you want to call in now, you can do that. 833-288-0973. Last chance today. We have one qualifier. So if you win today, you'll have a 50-50 chance to win tickets to Friday night's Padres tomorrow.
I don't think we're giving them away tomorrow.
Padres-Dodgers game, okay?
Today is your chance. They're going to try to get you those tickets by the end of today.
My guess is,
morning.
I know it's not sold out. At least it wasn't earlier this week. My guess it will be by game time. A Friday night against the Dodgers.
Let's
Red
see.
Hot coming to town.
Huge. It's not a rivalry. I understand that. But yeah.
I'm predicting
Padres,
11
Dodgers,
sellout.
Friday night.
I'm predicting 12
Cinco de Mayo.
sellout on Saturday.
Beer Fest.
Yeah.
Musgrove versus Kershaw. I'm thinking it's probably going to be one hell of an environment.
You want to win tickets is what we're saying. So call in now. We're going to play our game. But first, we're going to hear from Juan Soto. This was actually recorded by our Sam Levitt, in-season Sammy, before the game yesterday, as he was already starting to heat up. Got on base 4 more times yesterday, 3 walks and a 3-run double. Get that on-base percentage almost up to 400. And just kind of how it's been going for Juan Soto. Here he is with our Sam Levitt.
Juan Soto joining us right now on the Padres Radio Network. Juan, a couple of doubles yesterday. How you feeling at the plate right now?
Feeling great. I've been trying to do my stuff, try to get on time and everything. I feel pretty good so far.
You're playing every day after the Mexico City series, a lot of travel on that last road trip, day game after a night game today. To you, Juan, what's the key to staying fresh and being ready to play every day, even, day game after a night game with all the travel you guys have done?
I feel like probably stay young. No, but definitely just try to rest as much as you can, do your recover, make sure you have all your vitamins and stuff, and just try to rest. That's the main thing. You have a good rest and just try to figure out your sleep and your food and everything. I think it help you out with all this stuff.
You talk about rest. Do you have a very specific routine you have to go to sleep, to make sure you're eating right? I mean, how specific is it for you day to day?
I would say just the same thing. I just go home. I just go to bed. Definitely, my main thing is to have a really good bed. So right now I have a really good bed that I was trying to find last year, and it feels great. So nothing better than being home. So I feel pretty good.
Was it a tough search to find the right bed?
It was kind of tough because I really have a really good one in DC. You know, you spend a couple bucks on that, but definitely I find the right one and I feel good on it.
So you didn't take the bed from DC to San Diego. You had to get a new one.
Yeah, I had to get a new one. You know, it's a little bit tough to just send only a bed over here. So I feel like that's the main thing. The comfort on your spot when you're gonna sleep and stuff, and that's the best. That's the main thing.
Well, certainly finding a comfortable bed, I think, is something everybody can relate to, right? We're joined by Juan Soto right now here on the Padres Radio Network. Juan, you've talked a lot about the last couple of weeks about the process of getting back to where you want to be offensively. That process, I mean, how's that going the last couple of weeks? Because certainly in Mexico City and back here in San Diego, some of the results have been there, right?
Yeah, it's been right there. You know, I've been trying to help the team as much as I can. Just little by little doing my thing, but definitely I'm feeling better the last couple of days. So you can tell my swings and everything. It feels amazing. So I'm just gonna keep doing the same thing I've been doing and keep trying to help the team as much as I can.
Certainly great to hear. Getting a chance to play with Fernando Tatis Jr., see him here at home. Obviously, it seemed like you guys had a lot of fun in Mexico City. What's that been like the last couple of weeks, getting to play with Fernando for the very first time?
It's been pretty good, you know. Play a guy like that, have fight tools and everything. He's just amazing. I mean, and know where we're coming from and know each other for a long time. So I think it's great to have him back and just share the field with him.
Xander Bogaerts, your locker mate to your right here. You know, he's a hitter. Obviously, he's done great things so far with the Padres, but a lot like you. I mean, he likes to spray the ball around, hit the ball through holes, go the other way. What have you learned from Xander? What's that relationship been like?
Oh, it's been great. You know, it just it tells you what a really good player it is and how much fun he has. I mean, he's been showing it off every day, and I'm happy for that. He's a great dude. I love everything that he's doing, how he handles himself in and out of the field. So I think he's going to be really good for the team.
I have to ask you one final question. This new celebration that everybody's doing with the arms rolling, you're doing it too. I saw it at third base yesterday. Do you know where that comes from? Who created that?
I mean, it's just a new Dominican dancing style that we bring it over and we just talking about, and we just having fun. Like Fernando and me, our handshake is something like it, and Nelson Cruz just saw it and he just he loved it and he just keep doing it and he just bring it to the bases. So we just keep on doing.
The handshake with you and Fernando, is that something you guys discuss, practice in spring training, or has that been since he arrived here again?
Oh, he was just since he arrived. Like, we don't have anything and we're just trying to figure out. He just said, hey, let's do this, and I was all over. I said, I'm on it.
I know Fernando has so many handshakes. I couldn't remember one. He remembers like 4 or 5 of them after a home run. Juan, really appreciate the time. Great stuff as always, and good luck today.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, I had a handshake with Fernando Tatis Jr. before Juan Soto did.
You did?
Yeah, I wonder if Tatis remembers that one. We still have it on our, I think, our stream. If you want to find that video of Ben's handshake with Fernando Tatis Jr. from spring training 2 or 3 years ago when we were out there, and that was Woods' idea. But
2019 is when we first did it on in an interview of the club in the dugout.
That's right.
That's
and
when
then,
we created it,
and then we recreated
the next
it.
spring, like 6 months later,
He still remembered it. I needed to
we met up with him at spring training, and he remembered it.
I would need to refresh again. I need to watch the video of myself doing it just to recreate it. But somehow Tatis has the ability to remember tons of handshakes, individual, unique ones with teammates, with members of the media. Pretty incredible. One other note from that interview before we get to real or fake. Has Juan Soto ever heard of like a moving company, like Beacons or something?
That stood out to me the most in that 5-minute sit down.
He said last year he just couldn't find the right bed to get comfortable in. He had one he loved in Washington, D.C. I know there are trucks that you can load a bed on, even all the way across the country. They will bring it to you. Now, yeah, it probably costs a pretty penny. Juan Soto could afford someone to move his bed from Washington, D.C. to San Diego if it was that important to him. Somehow he could have gotten it, I think, across the country. You were on the road trip. Hey, can you handle this for me? We're going to move my bed. I like it. Get some good rest.
Maybe somebody that like works with Jerome's or Bob's Discount Like somebody
we got
in
mattress
town
makers makes great mattresses, but if he truly loved the one that he had in Washington, D.C., just move it. Someone will gladly accept your money.
I kind of wish
transport that thing across the country.
I kind of wish Sammy would have expanded a little more on that. Like, wait. So, like, were you uncomfortable all of like the second half of last season? Like, are you not sleeping?
I mean,
well?
how amazing was this bed that he had in Washington, D.C.? He went from
a good bed's a good bed for
Hall
sure.
of Famer to a guy who's been struggling to get
figured
hits.
out.
That is some bed that Juan Soto had in Washington, D.C. I still think maybe he ought to get that one and bring it to San Diego with him. So we will have Brent Honeywell hear from him. Another conversation that we had yesterday, Paul and I chatting with Brent Honeywell Jr. on the field before the game. Right now, though, it is time to play today's game, Throwback Thursday of Real or Fake.
Some are here for the compelling sports talk with Ben and Woods. Yeah, you can go plow through another donut. It's time for Real or Fake on 97.3 The Fan. Tell the people what they'll win today.
First, I will tell you that Real or Fake on a Throwback Thursday is brought to you by Home Turf. Save time and water with pet-friendly, always green grass. And get a free consultation by calling the team at Home Turf at 888-4SD-TURF or go to sdhometurf.com. Full phone lines. We're going to go with Dan out in Poway. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, gentlemen.
All right, you've got a chance to qualify for a pair of Padres-Dodgers tickets for tomorrow night's game. If you want to get your own, you can still do so. Tickets are on sale at padres.com/tickets. Can't imagine there are many left. So if you win, you'll go into the drawing with our one winner from earlier this week. It'll be a 50-50 chance. Otherwise, whoever it was that won earlier in the week just going to get the tickets. So here is your category for Real or Fake.
His name was Grant on Monday. Grant is listening right now. Like he's rooting against you.
I don't know. This could be a tough one. We'll see. All right, Dan. The Kentucky Derby is coming up this Saturday. Not really high on my radar, but it is happening. The Run for the Roses, first Saturday in May. I've got a list of all the horses who have ever won the Kentucky Derby. Today on Real or Fake, I'll give you a name. You tell me if it's a real Kentucky Derby winning horse or a fake that I have made up and thrown in for today's game. Easy enough for you, Dan?
That's impossible. Let's do it.
It's a guessing game. That's what it is. You only need 4 out of the 7 right. I don't make you like go 7 for 7 or anything. So here we go. Real or Fake, Kentucky Derby winner, round 1. Behave yourself. Dan, real or fake? Behave yourself.
I'm going to say fake.
That one is real. 1921. You don't have Woods to help you. You know what? Woods wouldn't be much of a help in this category, so it doesn't really matter that he's not here. That's okay. Let's go to round number 2. Dan, real or fake Kentucky Derby winner? Orb. O-R-B. Orb.
I'm still fake.
You are still real, actually. That was 10 years ago, 2013, when Orb won the Kentucky Derby. All right, we are 0 for 2. Let's go to round 3. Hannah's Woods, real or fake, Dan? Hannah's Woods.
No, that has to be fake.
That is fake, yes. That one's pretty obvious. No, there's no horse that won the Kentucky Derby named Hannah's Woods. But hi to the Woods family if you're still on your way in traffic to Disneyland this morning. All right, round number 4. You got 1 right. You need 3 out of these last 4 to qualify for the Padres tickets. Omar Khayyam. Omar Khayyam, real or fake Kentucky Derby winner?
Dude, no way. No, fake.
No, it's real. 1917, Omar Khayyam, who was a famous mathematician from ancient Persia, and they named a horse after him, and he won the Kentucky Derby. All right, that's all right. We need to now go perfect here the rest of the way.
Come on, Dan.
Round 5.
You got this.
Dan, Thunder Gulch. Real or fake, Dan? Thunder Gulch.
Okay. That is from Cars, the movie. And so I'm going fake.
No, that's Radiator Springs from Cars, the movie. That is real, the 1995 winner. And Dan, I am sorry, but you have been eliminated. Congratulations to Grant from earlier in the week. I guess he's going to win the Dodgers ticket. You want to try the last two, Dan, or just
Yeah,
while
let's
you're
go
here?
for it.
All right, let's try. See if you can at least get more than one.
Playing for pride here.
Yeah. All right. Regret. Kind of regretting this
I
game,
have a
aren't you?
lot of that.
Regret.
Yeah. You know what, though? I said fake for every single one, so I'm sticking with my answer, fake.
Paulie?
Why would you do that?
Paulie? No, that one's real. 1915. This could go down as the worst ever game of real or fake, Dan. I'll give you one more chance. Last one. Burger King. Burger King. Not Burger King. Burger King. Real or fake?
Burgoo.
Burger King.
You're saying Burger King.
No, Burger King.
BURGOO.
King. Burger King.
That's Burger King, so I'm saying fake.
And that's real. 1932. Dan, congratulations on being the worst player of real or fake in the history of Ben and Woods, but we do appreciate you calling in. Giving it a try on a Kentucky Derby preview. All right, well, that's probably all the Kentucky Derby talk we're going to be doing this week on Ben or Woods. It went very poorly for Dan today on real or fake.
Somebody's going to tweet at Woods and he's going to be like, what the F? I leave for one day and you do 3 hours on the Kentucky Derby?
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right, we've got Don't Do This coming up next. I'm actually bringing Woods into Don't Do This. It was something involving my co-host on social media yesterday. Might not be what you're thinking, but it is definitely involving Woods. I'm going to head in that direction.
How's that for a tease?
Coming up next after a check of traffic on San Diego's *1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We'll be right back.
Don't do this.
I got a little surprise for you, you know what I'm saying?
Don't do this.
Listen, if I've said something bad, tell me I'm a bad boy. Just tell me I'm a bad boy.
Why? Just why?
I get the argument. You don't have to explain it to me. I'm not a moron.
Let me tell you why I am a dumbass.
It's time for Don't Do This.
Don't do this.
On 97.3 The Fan.
Actually going to have a guest Don't Do This complaint coming up at the top of the hour from inside the building.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, from our friend John Flint's going to come over with a beef he had from yesterday's Padres game. But I'll save that for John to get into in a little bit. I will first tell you the baseball season is here. Yeah, live coverage of every Padres game on 97.3 The Fan is now available through the Odyssey app wherever you are in the San Diego area. You can listen to every pitch of every Padres game on Odyssey. Download the free Odyssey app and search 97.3 The Fan to get started. So you can actually watch games and listen to them live as they're happening. I do understand that not everybody is able to do that, especially on a day game, on a work day. Some people will record the game and then watch it back a little bit later when they have time. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. And if you really want to enjoy the experience, you'll avoid social media and, scoreboards and the internet, so you don't know what happens and you can watch it as though you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, if you're active on social media, you can't complain.
Yeah,
when people are commentating throughout a live game that you recorded and are going to go back and watch later.
What you probably shouldn't do, and here's the don't do this, is as you're watching the recorded game that everyone else has already seen, perhaps live tweeting complaints about players aren't going to look that great. And we got this one, and I hate to throw him under the bus, but I think he's going to be a good sport about it. Peter, one of our listeners, tweeted at me and at Woodsy at 7 p.m. last night. So long after the game was over.
The game ended at like 3:45.
Yeah, the game ended just before 4 o'clock. He tweeted, Bomel needs to sit Soto. Something is going on in his head. He needs a break. Get away from the game for a couple of days. A-Rod like darkness retreat, like Aaron Rodgers. And Woods, of course, responds, Juan Soto? Like one of the hottest hitters in baseball and certainly the hottest hitter in the Padres lineup. Other people started tweeting in. George had the Paul Harvey looking very confused meme with stats of Juan Soto's last 6 games,
Harvey.
which again, or Steve Harvey, not Paul Harvey.
I'm Paul.
Paul Harvey was an old radio host who used to do the rest of the story long ago, but Steve Harvey, had Juan Soto's. So he is 9 for his last 20 in his last 6 games with 9 walks, a 450 batting average, 4 doubles, a homer, 16 total bases, 8 runs batted in, a 621 on base percentage, an 800 slugging percentage. That's a 1421 OPS.
That's the guy that we need to send to a darkness retreat.
That's the guy that needs to be benched by Bomel. And Cook tweeted, do you watch the games on a 2-week delay? Like, not just today's game, but if you missed the last few, Peter did acknowledge, I tweeted too fast, and now I'm getting taken to Ben Higgins' favorite place, Pound Town, deservedly so. But even at that point,
Pound Town.
He had the 3 walks. He had, the base running blunder. But right now, Juan Soto is a got to be in the lineup every day sort of guy. You cannot afford to sit Juan Soto. You had Manny Machado taking a day off yesterday already. And we've yet to probably see like the fully unleashed Death Star of the Padres lineup. Tatis came back, but they haven't all been healthy and kind of clicking at the same time. Then Xander started.
The one game in Mexico City.
Cool. Yeah. Xander everyone was good in that game,
right.
But Xander started cooling off. Manny's obviously
I'm saying all 4 of those guys homered.
Not been 100% healthy. The fact that Manny's had 2 days off in the last week and a half tells you everything you need to know about where Manny is at the moment.
Yeah.
Now Soto's heating up. Tatis, had a 9-game hitting streak, but now he's had 2 games without a hit, cooling off a little bit. We're still really waiting to see for like a week or 2 where it all comes together. I know it's coming.
It's going to be fun.
And it'll be really, really fun.
It's going to be great. It's not going to be great. The latest edition of The Match.
I agree with you on this one. I love golf, but I have very little interest in this one.
It's celebrity golf, and we're coming up on the 8th installment of The Match. I will say, I think I liked the first, 2, maybe even 3 of them. You had guys like Aaron Rodgers versus Brooks Koepka or whatever.
I mean, I liked when they actually had golfers like,
it was like
Tiger
Aaron Rodgers and a golfer
Yeah.
versus Tom Brady and a golfer, and they're all mic'd up and they're playing some gorgeous golf course somewhere in the country.
Usually like Shadow Creek in Las Vegas or something.
It was fine. And they announced the latest episode is coming up at the end of June on TNT, and it's going to be an NFL versus NBA showdown. So it won't be celebrity / pro golfer versus celebrity / pro golfer. It's just going to be 4 celebrities. And representing the NFL from the Kansas City Chiefs, you have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce taking on Klay Thompson and Steph Curry from the Warriors.
Now I know Curry is a good golfer.
Curry's a very good golfer.
He's played in professional tournaments as an amateur. I mean, he's not a pro, but he's a very good amateur
I
player.
think Mahomes is pretty good.
I don't know much about Mahomes. Kelce doesn't strike me as being like that golf centric, but
he's going to be the bro on the course.
Find out.
It's going to be like
I don't know much about
shotgunning beers.
Play either. So it feels like there's a chance for some really bad golf.
It's going to be boring. It's not going to be entertaining.
Now, if you want to do football against basketball, Tony Romo against Steph Curry, 2 like legit good golfers who are also great in their other sports, but yeah, I don't think
they've ran out of ideas. I think they could probably put the match to bed.
Let's see, they had Peyton Manning and Steph Curry against Charles Barkley and Phil Mickelson a couple of years ago. Is that?
Josh Allen.
Yeah, I've lost interest in the match, unfortunately.
Curry's done this before. He teamed up with Peyton Manning against Phil Mickelson and Charles Barkley. I don't know. I'm over it. I'm very much over it.
Yeah, me too. I'm done. I'm a golf fan, and I'm done with it. That doesn't bode well for the match. And then you had a do this?
I thought you did.
Did I have a do this?
DD mega doo-doo.
Let's see. Whatever it was, I've forgotten what it was. So, that's good work by us today.
It was it James Harden?
Oh,
James Harden gifted
Joel Embiid for his MVP award.
Who won the MVP award. He gifted him a custom Rolex with 23 MVP engraved into it.
I mean, it's always nice to get someone a nice gift. So I don't want to call it a don't do this. Shouldn't Joel Embiid kind of be the one giving gifts to the teammate? He got the MVP award. Then you give your teammates some gifts for their support during the season. Like, hey, we can't all win the MVP, but I couldn't have done this without you guys.
Interesting,
so here's a nice little gift. I get this MVP.
Quarterbacks will gift their offensive lineman.
Yeah, it feels like Joel
Embiid
should be the one giving the gifts, not receiving the gifts in this case.
Well, I guess the the video that went out, I mean, Joel Embiid's reaction to opening up a freaking custom Rolex was awesome.
That is cool.
I don't even know if that was the do this, but you forgot, I forgot.
And then, of course, he comes back for the Sixers last night, and they get absolutely stomped by the Boston. So they win game 1 without him, and then they get the MVP of the league back and get absolutely stomped. Make it make sense.
So sports.
Maybe that was just like the warm-up game to get Embiid back, and they'll be at home for game 3. He only had like 15 points, 3 rebounds. Was definitely not MVP-ish last night for the Philadelphia 76ers. And that's Don't and Do This for a Thursday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, looking forward to this. I was when we went down there, and I think you'll all enjoy it as well. Our conversation, Paulie and I talking with Brent Honeywell Jr., Padres relief pitcher from before the game yesterday.
Get to know one of the newer Padres.
Well, I mean, we talked to so many guys out in spring training. He was not on our radar at that point. Right. I don't even know who this is, basically. And now all of a sudden he makes the team and has been a nice piece for the Padres this first month of the season. I mean, he's been counted on for some pretty big innings. So we get to know a little bit about one of the newer Padres, Brent Honeywell Jr. Do that when we come back with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Got a pretty big series coming up at Petco Park this weekend. Don't want to make too much of any series in May, but if you look at the NL West standings right now, you'll see that currently in first place are the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have quietly gotten hot over the last week, winning their last 6 games in a row, and they're scoring a bunch of runs too, double digits in each of their last 3 games, 13-13, and got to 10 on a walk-off grand slam by Max Muncy yesterday to sweep the Philadelphia Phillies 3 straight at Dodger Stadium. They're now 19-13, game and a half up on the Arizona Diamondbacks, who beat the Texas Rangers yesterday 12-7, and 2 games up on the Padres, who are 17-15. So, you know, again, it's May. It's very early. The Dodgers are hot, but you definitely don't want to like get swept. Then you're 5 games out, and now you're kind of digging out of a hole for a while. Not that it's too early. You have plenty of time to do that, but you don't want to, you know, dig into a hole. You know, if you did sweep all 3 games, you can move into first place and kind of tamp down their momentum would be nice. My guess is that neither team will either sweep or be swept in this series this weekend, but you never know. It's going to be good pitching matchups all the way through, starting with Joe Musgrove and Clayton Kershaw as the expected starters. Yu Darvish and Blake Snell following for the Padres. I think Dustin May, Noah Syndergaard, Urias is going on Sunday. So yeah, you know they did it on purpose. They tweaked
their rotation a little bit because you know it's not a rivalry.
The Dodgers did.
Yeah,
that's interesting because they were the ones that were kind of laughing at the Padres a couple of years ago, when it was at least perceived that they had kind of tweaked their rotation to get their best starters against the Dodgers. Now the Dodgers are doing the same thing.
Not a rivalry.
Makes for a big series. Of course, there'll be a return series to Dodger Stadium the following weekend. The Sunday game is the ESPN Sunday night game, so national eyes will be on the series this weekend as well, and we'll certainly talk about it tomorrow more when Woods is back, and you know, we'll get to the Friday, but that is certainly at least on the horizon here on a Thursday morning, what's coming up this weekend. And nice to get a day off, I think, here for the Padres as well, after the trip to Mexico and having to play 3 straight against the Reds coming back. I know the Giants did the same thing. Of course, they didn't have at least the good feelings of winning the 2 games in Mexico like the Padres did. They had to go right to Houston.
They had some
for
feelings.
3 games. So yeah, you saw Logan Webb, one of their pitchers, had some comments on their road trip from Mexico City to Houston.
Yeah, they're not doing so well, those San Francisco Giants. Logan Webb said, quote, "The whole trip has been a grind. It's been a mental grind and a physical grind. 3/4 of our clubhouse has the can't say that word on the
bubble
air.
Guts.
Yeah, it'll be good to get back home. Hopefully the blanks
again
go away."
All right. Well, I guess maybe they ate at a different restaurant than the Padres did when they were down in Mexico City, if it's going through the clubhouse. Now, they won the last 2 games against the Houston Astros, so they can't be too upset when you go into, you know, the defending World Series champions and take 2 out of 3, including 2 straight, even with every team member spending extra time in the bathroom the last couple of days. They're still managing to win a couple of ball games. So, and they get the day off today as well. And then I think they're also home this weekend. So a nice little reset for the Padres today. You don't get many off days at home over the course of the baseball season. They have off days, but a lot of them end up being like travel days. Like you're off on a road trip. So you fly out on a Wednesday and then you're off Thursday in whatever city you're going to, and you play Friday. That's not really an off day at home, but today is a real off day at home for the players. Juan Soto can sleep in his own bed that he finally found, that he didn't have shipped from Washington, D.C., that he feels comfortable in, and not worry about getting up for a game. He can sleep in this morning, listen to a little Ben and Woods on the Odyssey app. I'm sure he does that every single day.
Is Soto in the YouTube chat right now?
He's probably right there. I don't know what name he uses, but I'm hi to Juan Soto. Manny, of course, I'm sure is listening as well this morning from Coronado. Hello, Manny. A little extra time for some Ben and Woods on an off day. That's how they're all spending it. Joe, probably out at Cafe Adesso in Alpine right now, enjoying some coffee and listening to Ben and Paul on a Thursday morning. Maybe Brent Honeywell Jr. is tuning in to hear his own interview. Paulie and I went down to the ballpark yesterday before the game and got a chance to really a nice conversation. It wasn't just a minute or two. We really got a little more in depth. We wanted to find out who Brent Honeywell Jr. is played a big role in the Padres bullpen for this first month of the season. We'll bring you our conversation with Brent Honeywell right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the all-new Premier Cadillac of Carlsbad. We're definitely getting our share of problems on our wet roadways this morning, guys. Southbound side of the 805, right before Bonita, there is a collision involving a couple vehicles. And on the northbound side, reports of a crash. This one is just past Bonita. Further up near Murray Ridge, a collision, couple vehicles involved in that. Also traveling on the coastline, northbound 5 before Las Pulgas, a collision blocking the fast lane. Brought to you by Premier Cadillac of Carlsbad with brand new 2023 Cadillac XT4s and XT5s in stock now. Stop in or shop online at CadillacCarlsbad.com, a proud member of the Premier Carlsbad family of dealers. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Very excited. Our first chance to chat with Padres relief pitcher Brent Honeywell. And Brent, I know it's not your first stint in the big leagues, but I think congratulations in order. A month, first victory. How's it been going in the Padres uniform this past month for you?
It's good. It's probably the best start I could probably ask for, honestly. Just keep making pitches and keep giving us the best chance I can to win. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm extremely happy to be here. It's a hell of a clubhouse, hell of a coaching staff, training staff. I don't think there's anything better.
You got to say up front, one of the reasons we wanted to chat with you, we're getting tight with the Cespedes Family Barbecue guys. We have them on every Monday on our show, and we saw them with a video and you guys together on the road trip. Tell me about you and those guys and kind of how that came together.
Those two dudes, those guys have been in my corner from the day I signed to be a professional baseball player. They're good people. I think they're really good at what they do. They're very diligent in their homework that they do, and they come up with some pretty good stories about everybody and what everybody they want to have on, or they do their homework. They're good at what they do.
So I just want to get to know you, Brent. So you guys got an off day this week. What does an off day look like, especially here in San Diego for you now that you've starting to get a little bit more accustomed to the city?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go play some golf. It's the first time I played golf during the year, so I think I might go play some golf.
You're not a real pitcher until you pick up the sticks, right? I mean, a major leaguer.
That's true. It's true. It's a lot easier to do when you're a starter, but I ain't complaining. I'd rather throw a baseball than play golf any day of the week.
What's your handicap?
I don't even know. I'll fire off some good rounds every now and then.
All right, I want to go back a little further. So you played actually for your dad was your high school baseball coach, and he was a minor leaguer growing up. What was that like? I mean, obviously I'm sure he's been proud as heck to see what you've come to the big leagues, but what was that like for you growing up?
Yeah, it was good. Sometimes it was tough at times, but he's probably the smartest baseball mind I've been around, and he's given me everything I know in this game and everything that you want to trust your gut feeling when you're out there at times. And not only am I trusting my gut, I trust him too, and the knowledge he's put in me. So I think the biggest thing about that is that he put some dog in me too. And it's like, you don't want to get beat out there. That's not what we want to do. We don't want to get beat out there. You go out there, you give them the best you got. Excuse me. You give them the best stuff you got, and whatever happens, however the chips may fall, so be it. But just know that you're going to be able to sleep a little better at night when you feel like you give them your best stuff than the stuff that's not as good.
Talking to Brent Honeywell, Padres relief pitcher, and you say a little bit of that dog in you. That must have been important in order to come back. You've had 4 surgeries, to fight through. Some guys don't ever get an opportunity to come back from that. How difficult was that to go through over these past 4 or 5 years?
Well, I think the biggest part of it you said was that not a lot of guys get to come back from stuff like that. A lot of guys don't want to come back from stuff like that, but and to each their own. I had friends that I rehabbed with for a long time that I didn't see get the chance. It's like Cat has 9 lives, man. I don't know. I just kind of kept pushing, and I always knew. I would watch a lot of baseball. I'm a baseball fan at heart. I love this game, and it's just something that I kind of picked up, which was like, I still have the stuff to do this. I got to get put back on the right track here. I got to kind of, not necessarily reinvent the wheel, but, reinvent kind of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And you know, a lot of the movement aspects of my body. I feel like I was too good of an athlete to be moving as clunky and rigid as I felt like I was moving. And, you know, I just kind of worked my way back through that. And I had some pretty good training staffs along the way. And, you know, I wanted to pitch in the big leagues is the main part.
I'm clunky and rigid. Paul, I mean, a little better than me, but, you know, that's not you, though. I can see that.
You're also not a professional athlete.
Yeah,
so
not at all.
Now we know why. We're talking to Brent Honeywell this morning. Brent, so you're one of the newest members on the team. There are a lot of personalities, not just on the pitching staff, starters or relievers, but throughout the entire clubhouse. I'm just curious, since you got here in San Diego, who's kind of taken you under their wing and showed you the ropes and helped you out in your time here with the Padres?
Well, the first day I got here, Tim and Joe were in the weight room, and they got all their stuff done. And I was just kind of hanging out, watching. And you know, the biggest thing is, you know, I don't necessarily need someone to take me under their wing. I feel like it's more like, you know, don't show me, just tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to do it. Just tell me what to do and tell me how, and tell me the things we do here. How we go about doing it and how, you know, we operate as a staff or as a team or anything like that. But Tim and Joe, like I said, when I first got here, those two guys were the guys I kind of latched onto because they were the first two guys I saw. But, you know, after that, we kind of struck a pretty good friendship. And I'll never forget, Tim Hill told me one thing because I've never been in the pen before. And I said, what's going to happen when they fire me in the pen? He says, you're going to be a dog. And you're going to go out there and help us win baseball games. You're going to do it that way. No one cares, dude. Just go out there and help us win. It's a really good clubhouse. These guys in here, there's great teammates, but great people too, all around.
Now, every guy in the clubhouse always has a nickname, and I've heard yours is Honey, which makes a lot of sense. Is it ever kind of awkward, though? It's like, hi, Honey. Hi, Honey. How's it going?
No, we're past that point. I think it's the easiest one you can kind of come up with, you know. But that's been my nickname ever since we played travel ball, the league, and stuff like that.
I don't know if you probably don't get to watch much of the TV broadcast, but you know, Mud Grant, who does the television, was showing it kind of the screwball. You know, he was a former major league pitcher, and he was like, "Going, this hurts my arm just kind of even thinking about trying to throw that pitch." How did that come about? I mean, you know, just like, why do you do that and so few other guys in baseball will throw that pitch?
I don't think guys can throw it. It's that simple. It's just like, you know, it's just like somebody else's slider that you can't really recreate. It's just a pitch that no one can really recreate. Do I think it's the problem that I had all the way through? No, not at all. I feel like it gets misunderstood, and I feel like a lot of people don't know how to teach it. But I mean, it's, you know, it might hurt him because he's 50-something years old? Like, who cares? It might hurt him, but I throw it for strikes and strike three all the time. So it's like, you know, I think there's more to what I do out there than a screwball. I feel like I got some good stuff to offer out there other than that. But, you know, like I said, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I show up here every day ready to go. And so do these guys in here. And anything I can do for these guys in here is what I want to do.
I think it just sounds cool. Screwball. It's kind of fun to say.
It's a good name. Good name for pitch. Love it. Brent, thank you so much for the time, man.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
And that was Brent Honeywell with us yesterday. All guests appear on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. I really didn't mean to put Mud in his crosshairs. I was trying to be kind of lighthearted about it.
You offended our guest a little bit with that question.
And then, you know, and Mud took most of the shrapnel there. By the way, Mud is going to celebrate the big 6-0 later this year.
Is that right?
A little early birthday, not for a few months, but
wow.
Yeah, during a playoff time in Major League Baseball, Mud has a big birthday coming up this year. So he will no longer be in the 50s, as Brent Honeywell said. Oh, well, he doesn't care what some guy in his 50s says. Well, will you care what some guy in his 60s says? later when Mud celebrates his birthday. I really enjoyed that conversation, but it wasn't entirely what I expected. He's a serious guy. He takes, as you'd imagine, it's his profession. He takes things very seriously. He wasn't there to joke around, but he also gave plenty of time to us, gave really good, thoughtful answers, and I really enjoyed talking to and getting to know Brent Honeywell Jr. a little bit more.
I loved hearing about the relationship with him and Tim Hill and Joe Musgrove. They became friends right away. I loved the stuff that he was telling us about his dad. I mean, look, you get to the professional ranks, you've been around a lot of good, smart baseball people throughout your career. And he says, my dad is the best baseball mind that I know. And he instilled that dog in me. And, it's kind of a goofy saying at this point, but like to have that dog in you, I mean, to come back from as many injuries as he's had throughout his career, you have to have that in you. You have to have that.
Yeah, I mentioned it during the interview, but his dad was he was in the minor leagues for a while, didn't make to the big leagues, and eventually became a high school coach. And he played for his dad in high school, and obviously learned a ton from his father, enough to get to the big league level, which of course is a incredibly impressive accomplishment. But now he's thrown well at the big league level. He's been an important part of this Padres bullpen so far. All right, 2 hours in the books. Woods and Hannah and Taylor and Bo have arrived at Disneyland. They're ready for the rope drop here in 4 minutes, heading in to their first rides. Wonder if it's raining as much as it is right here in San Diego. We'll come back. Our friend John Flint has a don't do this from the Padres game yesterday he wants to share. That's coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. May the 4th be with you on this Star Wars Day. Hey, welcome back. Hour number 3, Ben and Paul. Woodsy celebrating Star Wars Day with his family. He is in Disneyland right now. Disneyland, the Woods family is in you at the moment.
What happened to him?
Looks like the weather's okay up there. They just took a picture. It's like sunny and they've got shadows and everything. Not here. You may need skills of a Jedi just to get to work this morning with the rain on our roadway. So take your time. Let's do a little more Ben and Paul on your way in. Get there safely. We need you in our audience every single day. We don't want any accidents taking place on our roadways this morning.
Now, Woods has been a father of at least one child. Like, he's been a father since we've known him. Bo was like weeks old when we met.
And who knows how many other kids he had before we knew him that he doesn't even know about.
A valid point that you make there, Benjamin. But since we have been together as a show, since we have known Woods,
yes,
he has been a dad.
The first time I met him, he had an infant son that was just a couple of weeks old.
But something tells me if you would have been able to, on a Throwback Thursday, if you could go way back to the first time that we all met together and you told him, hey, not only in 5 years are you going to love golf, but you're going to be going to Disneyland on Star Wars Day.
Right. And you'll have actually watched the movies with your kids.
There's no chance he would have bought it.
No, he didn't. He didn't think he would be that dad. Even when he became a dad, I think he thought, I'm going to be a different sort of dad.
Right.
And I will say he has made his kids cooler than most kids at that age. I mean, Bo's like the coolest 5-year-old out there right now. But the parenthood thing changes everybody. And maybe I've had an effect on Woods as well over the last few years. Certainly the love of golf. I could not talk about golf for 2 minutes without you guys trying to play me off with the, hey, you still have the music.
Oh, yeah.
The push you off stage, your acceptance speech is over music from the Oscars. Anytime I talked about golf, Paulie would play me off the stage. Woodsy's eyes would roll. He would start snoring in his chair over there.
If I had it my way, I still would play you off, but Woods now entertains it. And
well, I mean, not only does Woods play golf and became obsessed with the game, but he actually has taken it further. He's been the last 2 years in like a PGA Tour fantasy league. Golf. And he picks, like tries to pick winners. He picked last week. He had Tony Finau last week for the Mexico Open and picked the correct winner of the PGA Tour event. I've probably done that like 2 or 3 times in my entire life. And Woods did it last week with Tony Finau. I think he said he was either going to take Victor Hovland this week or maybe Ricky Fowler, who's been playing well. That would be a risky choice. Woods he's not missed the cut yet. He's like one of the last people. They got a group of, I think, a couple of hundred people in this pool, and whoever misses the cut last, like chooses a player and they make the cut, and the longer you go, the more you make. And he hasn't picked anyone who's missed the cut. So Hovland's probably the safe choice. He hasn't teed off yet. Is this my new music you're playing me off? There you go. So they just underway. I think they play this afternoon, but that's the one in North Carolina. Max Homa is the defending champion, although they're playing it back at Quail Hollow. They didn't play it there last year because they had the I think it was the Ryder Cup was there last year, so they didn't have the tournament there last year instead. So they're back to their normal venue. Well, there's the golf talk this morning that I was not expecting to do. We're going to get back to some Padres talk here on 97.3 The Fan. We can take some phone calls here on our second half of the show, 833-288-0973. We will also talk to Eno Sarris, our Smart Baseball Weekly segment, coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll play his our big voice, Eno Sarris, that we had for you yesterday as we were trying to create our new show open. And our guy, our big voice, what's his name, John, had a little bit of trouble with Eno's last name, Sarris, not Harris. But we did create what I think is a spectacular new open for that segment. So we'll have Eno coming up later.
With
this
Eno
morning.
Harris,
Yeah.
Saris, son of a bitch.
That should be fun.
Voice guy gets me every time.
That should definitely be fun a little bit later this morning. Still have our round of report coming up as well. And we got the Dodgers coming to town tomorrow for a 3-game series.
Today.
Yeah. Off day today. Maybe that will get everybody's head right, because the one thing that Woods left us this morning, sent a tweet right before the show started at 5:58 a.m., probably as he was just about to leave for Anaheim, that have a good show, boys. Please discuss the Doom boners, Tier 1 Steve.
The what?
The Doom boners is what he tweeted at us. And he tweeted it last night as well. I guess he found it from a Cubs fan originally, but it really is a phenomenon that describes a certain segment of the Padres fan base and maybe other fan bases as well. It's almost as though you are hoping that the team is going to do something bad or is going to struggle, so you can proclaim that the sky is falling and that this team is a disaster. And I see it all the time. I mean, one bad inning and my timeline is flooded with the negativity. That's what it is. That's what the doom owners is that Woods is referring to on social media, that people who just seem to get, for lack of a better term, they get excited about the possibility of criticizing their own team. Like they live for being able to criticize their own baseball team. And when the team's actually playing well and things are going fine, they go quiet. They don't have anything to say anymore. It's done. The Padres have won 4 of their last 5, 9 of their last 13. Life is fine over the last couple of weeks in Padres land. Life is pretty good, but you wouldn't know it from some of the fans on social media.
I promise you, like the first batter that Snell walks, if he walks anybody on Sunday, it's going to be the end of the world.
Doom people will be right back on social media again as soon as that happens. It's just inevitable.
We'll have to expand more on this.
Now, I think so. Our friend John Flint from KSON is joining us here, and you're not a doom and gloom sort of fan.
I am not a doom and gloom kind of fan.
You're a positive fan, Padres fan, Minnesota Twins fan as well.
Both, yeah. I'm having a wonderful experience next week. I'm flying back to Minnesota to see my daughter graduate college. Just so happens Thursday is a matinee game at Target Field with our boys. Twins against the Padres. I got so lucky. Anyway,
very cool. They're about the same record too. They're 17-14. They're in first place in the fairly weak AL Central, which is a nice thing to have a division that doesn't have a ton of good teams in it.
I just like seeing the White Sox in last place, and yes, they'll probably come down to earth a little bit later.
Yeah, well, they actually won 3 in a row. The Royals are now in last place, but they've all been pretty bad. The Tigers, the White Sox, the Royals are all dismal. So that's the Twins division to win now. They just have to hold off the Guardians. But so we don't do this earlier. I said you had an entry in our Don't Do This segment that was going to save until you came over because you were at the Padres game yesterday and you had a complaint.
No, I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying I know this makes me sound like a grumpy old man. I know it does.
That's what the segment's for, essentially.
Well, I'm a tier 1 when I'm not doing my thing. So I'm honored to be here, first of all. Almost every ballpark I've been to, except Petco Park, there's a thing called baseball etiquette, which means you don't walk to your seat when the game's playing. You wait till there's a break, and there's a break a lot in baseball. I'm not even talking about innings. I'm talking about when someone gets an out
in between hitters.
Thank you. Paul's so good. Yeah. What happened? There used to be ushers that would put their hands up or have a sign or just say you can't go to your seat until there's a break. And now there's not any of that. And I'm not ripping on the ushers at Petco Park. I know at times you got a lot of thankless job dealing with the drunks, dealing with the idiots. But there has to be some kind of baseball etiquette.
I hadn't noticed that. I remember certainly in the past, standing at the top of a section and, oh, wait, they're in the middle of an at-bat. And the usher will politely say or hold up a sign, say, please wait until the at-bat is over before walking down and taking your seat so you don't block the view of the people that are trying to watch the game.
It happens every game, and it's because they're not enforcing it at Petco Park. I'm not sure they just told the ushers just don't worry about it anymore, but
they used to, for sure.
I know they did.
I guess I haven't noticed it over the last couple of years, but
and maybe it's just the sections I've been sitting in. I have no idea, but I do know this. Yesterday, I got to the end of my rope, not because I'm a grumpy old man, but because the people took the time to walk down and block our view during the middle of the game while action was happening and fun action. And worse than that, then they turned around and posed for like 3 selfies. I know I sound like a grumpy old man here, but posed for 3 selfies before they sat down. But come on. And you don't want to be that jerk that says down in front or well, I paid for this ticket, because frankly I didn't. But but am I alone here? I mean, what happened to baseball etiquette?
It's interesting. Like I haven't noticed. I haven't sat in the seats much. I've been in the press box most of the time.
Ben doesn't sit with the comment.
That they changed that policy, because I definitely remember that. Now, a couple of thoughts. Staffing has been a little different since COVID.
Okay.
They have ushers at they used to have one at the top of every single aisle. I don't think they have as many now, so it might be a little harder to enforce.
Possibly.
The other thing is the pitch clock has changed the entire flow and timing of a game. So in some ways, it makes it even more critical. You're missing more action. If someone walks down and blocks your view for 60 seconds, you may miss 4 or 5 pitches in that. I mean, Seth Lugo was working so fast yesterday. He would get the ball back, 15 on the clock. By 10, he was ready to go and throwing. Like every 5 seconds, he wanted to throw a pitch. So the game is moving at a much faster pace. But at the same time, you know, if you're not in your seat, you're missing more time. Like you go get a hot dog, stand in line for 10 minutes, you may miss an inning or more because the games are moving along much more quickly than they were.
Now, Jeffrey says in our YouTube chat, season ticket holder here, we have an usher doing this every game. Sometimes they get pulled away for something for a little bit. Matthew says, I'm also a season ticket holder. I have not seen the ushers stopping people for the last season or two.
Yeah, at least the last season or two. By the way, Lugo's curve was so on yesterday. It was so great to watch. Listen, I know that those guys have. I've seen idiot jackass fans be belligerent to these ushers. Thankless job at times. So I'm not ripping on anybody. I'm certainly not ripping.
How about when they have to be like full-on security guards to like break up a fight in the crowd? Like,
exactly.
These guys are getting paid minimum wage. Like they're not,
and they're not exactly jacked either.
No.
I mean,
they don't go into work knowing I might have to like be a bouncer and get somebody out.
A lot of the ushers are retirees that have done other jobs. The guy who worked with radio across the street, retired from his job and is now an usher. I see him at Petco Park occasionally.
I'd love to do that when I retire. That'd be a great gig.
It actually feels like something. Yeah, you get to be at the game. You know, get paid a little bit. And
I will say this: if I do that, best believe I will enforce that. You sit there and wait till there's a break in the action. I know this. I go to Target Field next week to watch the Padres play the Twins. I know that the ushers there are going to stop you because I've seen them do it. They have
it's the Midwest. They are a
little bit more polite.
Really, really strict when it comes to their Midwest baseball etiquette.
We got our buddy John in from KSON this morning. Now, John, what does crazy or grumpy old man think about signs at the ballpark?
I'm totally fine with it.
You are fine.
Yeah, I love seeing the kids holding their giant
guy in front
head.
of me on a Monday night. Guy 2 rows in front of us. I mean, blocked the entire plate. Like the whole game.
The entire was the sign at least clever?
We were out in right field
Welcome
corner,
back, Fernando,
and it was
or
about
something.
Something about Tatis.
Yeah.
And, the problem was he had a little kid with him, and the kid was loving the sign.
I saw a bunch of kids on Monday night with those big Tatis heads, and I thought this is the most charming thing I've ever seen. So
yeah, I mean, it looks good on television.
Right.
I don't know that it looks great if you're sitting 2 rows behind it.
I've never been behind a guy in a sign, so you know what? Let me pause that answer until I have that experience, Paulie, and I'll let you know next time.
Mr. Sunshine says, imagine being an usher at Chavez Ravine. Yeah, I don't think that sounds like a fun retirement job as much.
No.
Well, have fun in Minnesota, and thank you for stopping by and sharing your old man gripe with us.
I'm gonna go yell at the kids to get off my lawn now.
That's okay.
Go Pods! Beat the Dodgers' ass this week.
That would be nice.
Go.
John Flint, KSON from down the hall.
Thanks, buddy.
Padres fan sharing. I hadn't noticed, and apparently kind of hit or miss now, according to Padres fans who are on our YouTube stream, that some of them say, yeah, our usher is still up there every inning, keeping people from walking down during play, and others say I haven't seen one all season stopping anyone from taking their seats during the game. I mean, if you're aware, if you are aware of your surroundings, I don't have a problem if between pitches you just quickly scamper and slide in. Even if you blocked someone's view for one pitch just as you were sliding in, I don't necessarily think you have to wait an entire half inning at the top of the aisle just to make sure that no one misses one pitch. But what John said, you're walking down the aisle, you're stopping, you're taking 3 selfies for 45 seconds and, blocking 3 or 4 pitches and people can't see what's going on. That's obnoxious, self-centered
I've taken
behavior.
a selfie with my wife at the game before because, you're sitting in your seat, you're facing the field, but, you might want to turn and get the field behind you. Don't do that during an inning. Wait in between innings. Do it during the hat shuffle. You can stand up, take your selfie, sit back down.
Rick says ushers are complete volunteers. They're not paid at all. I didn't realize that. I thought they at least got a little tiny bit. I know you get some perks, you get into the games, stuff like that. But
even legal?
I don't even know.
I don't know anything about that.
Can we get some child labor going on? We can get some 10-year-olds to be our ushers now.
I volunteered at Mariners games up in Seattle in high school.
Yeah.
But you got paid. It was through our high school, if you were on a team or
You
in a
earned
club,
money for your.
you earned
yeah.
money. So like we could work like 2 games with, there were like 6 of us plus parents to run a stand, and we'd make enough money after like 2 or 3 games for like new uniforms or something. So we got paid. Technically, the school got paid, but like it wasn't.
Miranda says
volunteer.
ushers make money. So now there's a debate in the YouTube chat about usher. If you're an usher and you want to
Are there any
tweet
ushers
us at
in the
Ben and
fan?
Woods at Ben Higgins SD, you can let us know about the big
Yes.
bucks you are or are not making at Petco Park. I know it's not much, even if it is out there. So it was good to see John come on over here.
Johnny.
He's always kind of popping his head in.
All he wants to do is
mostly-
talk baseball.
mostly with Woods, but
He's got to interview like Luke Bryan and talk about Morgan Wallen's new album.
you know how many times I've popped into their studio because I want to talk about country music with John
Every
and Tammy? Yeah, every single morning. Never once. I've never been over there once. Does that make me a
Johnny comes in every day, even during a commercial break, just pops his head in. Hey boys, about that game last night.
Yeah. And I love it. I love
Did
it.
you catch a game last
I
night?
love seeing him. It's great. All right. Speaking of the doom, there are 3 teams in Major League Baseball who have extremely high payrolls and extremely mediocre records right now. I want to do a little compare and contrast between the Mets, Yankees, and Padres. Get to that
Okay.
coming up after a check of traffic with Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. You can win a trip to see Guns N' Roses at a U.S. tour stop of your choice on their 2023 World Tour, including round-trip airfare, hotel, tickets, and a $200 gift card. Go to 973thefansd.com/GNR to enter for a chance to win in our national contest. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. You just had a buddy who texted you. Unequivocal proof that they still are monitoring fans at Petco Park, trying to keep them from blocking people's views while play is underway, going down to take their seats and going down the aisles.
Yeah, my boy Rick sent me a picture. It looks like it's a little bit down the first base line, and there's a usher, and he's holding a sign in front of the aisle. It says, "Please wait until next break in play."
Yeah, I've seen those before.
We also had a lot
John
of
says he
people-
didn't see him when he was out there yesterday, though.
We had a ton of people weighing in from that last segment, whether it was the signs, whether it was the break in the play,
The etiquettes of baseball,
whether
fans.
it was ushers, do they get paid? Somebody says, as a former Padres GSR, I can confirm we are not only paid, we are Padres employees and union.
There you go.
So
So,
they do
no,
get
it's
paid.
not a volunteer position. It's a real paid gig to be an usher. And, there's certainly parts of that job. I was in an elevator yesterday, the one in the Western Metal Supply Company building. I was going down to the Padres team store, and I walked in and said hi to the elevator attendant, who's another one of those Padres employees. And I said, "Oh, beautiful day." And she goes, "Yeah, and I'm in here in this elevator, but I do get to see it every time the doors open and enjoy it for 8 seconds before the doors close on me again." And, you don't think about that. She spends the entire, I'm sure she gets a break or two, but the entire baseball game sitting in an elevator, just going up and down with Padres fans, making sure no shenanigans take place and people get off on the floors.
I don't know that I
they're
could do
supposed
that.
to get
That
off.
would get a little too monotonous for me.
Well, they do play Jesse and Tony in the elevator,
Sure,
which I
but
think
you're just
would
sitting
make it
in
a
an
little
elevator
more
going up and down. up and
bearable.
down.
You can listen to the game while you're at work at least. But that would be a tough one. But that's why it's a paid gig, not fun all the time. All right, so I mentioned this, and we can talk more about it with Eno Saris when he joins us for our Smart Baseball segment coming up here at the bottom of the hour. But I wanted to do a quick little compare and contrast, because the three teams with the highest payrolls in baseball this year, as you probably know by now, are the New York Mets, $345 million payroll. The New York Yankees, $279 million payroll. And the San Diego Padres, $245 million payroll. In fact, if you want to add the Philadelphia Phillies, they're at 243 right behind. And all four teams are kind of in a similar situation in the standings. The Yankees are 17-15. The Mets are 16-15. Padres are 17-15. And the Phillies, after losing the last four, are 15-17. They're your four highest paid teams in all of baseball, and not a single one of them is off to what you consider a very good start here this season. But which ones are any of these real? Are any of these teams are just going to be wasting all that money, or are they all just waiting to kind of get hot? Like the Padres have started getting hot over the last couple of weeks. They're playing a little bit better, more along the lines of what they're paying their team's salary to be. Like with the New York Mets, how worried are you about the New York Mets? They lost Max Scherzer to that suspension. He came back, got rocked yesterday in his first start since the sticky stuff suspension.
Mets are currently 5 games back. They're tied with the Marlins.
They
for
will
second
be.
place.
I feel confident they will eventually be better than the Marlins, but I don't know that. The more they fall behind the Braves, who are a good team, and we all expected to be a good team, going to make it more difficult on them. Now, Justin Verlander is supposed to be coming back today, I believe, for his first start of the year. Yep. If he pitches like Justin Verlander, and it's still an if when you're 40
Cy Young
plus
winner
years
last year,
old, but
yeah.
he did win the Cy Young last year. Max Scherzer, you figure at some point is going to have some good starts as well. I don't think you can keep that team down too long. The Yankees are a different story. Now they're 17-15, and you can almost say they've overachieved considering how many injuries they have on their roster. So I told you the Yankees payroll is $279 million. You know how much they actually have on the field right now in their 26-man? $125 million. They have $152 million right now on the injured list.
Wow.
More money on the injured list than they do in their actual roster right now. And that includes Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and Josh Donaldson and a dozen players right now who are on the Yankees injured list. The fact that they're even above 500 is actually kind of impressive. Now, the problem for the Yankees is their division has been so good. They're in dead last place. They're 17 and 15.
17 and 15. That's right where the Padres are at. Doesn't sound terrible. They're 8.5 games back. They are in last
Would we
place.
feel differently about the 17 and 15 Padres if they were in dead last 8.5 games out of first place? I think we would, even though honestly, the Yankees have probably gotten off to a better start than the Padres, given that they have weathered those injuries and still have a winning record. And yet they're sitting 8.5 games out in what is going to be an incredibly tough division where the Rays are 25 and 6, the Orioles 20 and 10. Those are supposed to be the weaker teams. And then you got the Blue Jays and the Red Sox at 18 and 13 and 18 and 14. It's not going to be an easy climb back up to the top for the New York Yankees. And who knows when they're going to get healthy. They do have the guy who's been probably the best pitcher in baseball so far this year, in Garrett Cole. I think they've won every single time he's taken the mound. I think he's 5-0. They're 7-0 when he's on the mound. Outside of that, they've been pretty poor, pretty pedestrian. I'd be a little worried if I was a Yankees fan. Brian Cashman said yesterday, "Don't worry about us. We got a championship. We got a championship organization. We'll get healthy. We'll be fine."
I think if I had to pick one of those teams, though, you said 4 teams, both the
and
New York teams, the
Phillies.
Padres, and the Phillies. If I had to pick one that was going to miss the playoffs, I'd probably pick the Yankees. At
this point, with the division that they're in, and who knows if they'll ever get healthy, I agree with you. Even though they're 17 and 15,
Mets, they'll get it figured out. I think the Phillies just got Bryce Harper back.
Yeah,
I think the
Padres. Honestly, Aaron Boone,
to
manager of the year candidate for even having that team at 17 and 15 at this point, but they could also be the one that misses the playoffs this season. We'll talk more about it with Eno Saris. He's going to join us for his weekly Smart Baseball segment, Eno from The Athletic, when we return with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Sour 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Jamul Casino. Get a taste of Baja at Jamul Casino on Saturday, May 6th. Fun starts at noon with free food, then $25,000 in hot seat drawings. Jamul Casino, fun above all else. So we got Eno Sarah standing by.
Real quick. Lift your I need you to lift your headphones up over your hat a little bit. We got people in the YouTube chat that are demanding to know about your hat. They thought it was a Panda Express hat.
I see that.
And it kind of does look like a Panda Express hat.
This is the Fire Pit Collective, our friend Matt Janella, who was, I think, on his way back from Ireland, another one of his amazing adventures in golf, operating out of Link Soul up there with John Ashworth in Oceanside. And
not a
my
Panda
golfing
Express
buddy,
hat.
No, I would have no problem wearing a Panda Express. I like Panda Express. I know people say
I'll do one better. I love Panda Express. Kidding me?
I like I do. I like Panda Express. We got Eno standing by, and I hope that he enjoys the new Open that Paulie has put together. I think it's terrific, but if at the very least, I hope he enjoys the outtakes of what it took to put together his new Open for his weekly segment. So he'll get to hear all of that coming up after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
It's time for the super polished, yet to be named Smart Baseball Weekly segment with Eno Harris, Saris, son of a bitch.
Hold on. Remix.
Brought to you by 7 Mile Casino, just 7 minutes from the ballpark, by the bay in Chula Vista. Here's Eno Saris with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Or is it Eno Harris? I'm not sure, but he joins us now as he does every Thursday. Here on 97.3 The Fan. Did you enjoy that Open that Paulie put together? I am delighted by it.
I feel like I have an easy name, but it does get messed up.
We had some fun with that yesterday.
Yeah.
It's something about hearing the radio station voice guy, the voice of God,
Messed
with
up.
no production, no music.
So Paulie sends out a script, and then we've got our guy John, who I've never
It's
met.
time for the super polished, yet to be named Smart Baseball Weekly segment with Eno Harris, Saris, son of a bitch. It's time for the super polished, yet to be named Smart Baseball Weekly segment with Eno Saris. It's time for the super polished, yet to be named Smart Baseball Weekly segment with Eno Harris. That up, didn't I? It's time for the super polished, yet to be named Smart Baseball Weekly segment with Eno Harris.
Harris.
He has got a block there.
He did it over and over again?
Yeah.
He did it more than once?
Yeah, many times.
Oh, yeah.
Many times messed up your very simple name,
It was so good.
And thus it will live forever now in the Open for your segment. Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. That was funny, though.
So we were just talking before you came on about the four teams with the highest payrolls in baseball right now: the Mets, Yankees, Padres, and Phillies. And collectively, I think they're like 1 or 2 games above 500. They're all right there. Very mediocre starts, not really getting the bang for their buck, as it were, And I'm trying to decide, which one would you be most concerned about? Is it the Yankees? But I mean, there's obviously injuries are the reason that they've gotten off to a slow start. I'm actually impressed that they're 17 and 15. They have more money on injured reserve than they have on their actual payroll right now. Is it the Mets? The Padres are playing better. Obviously, they started really slow. The Phillies have lost 4 in a row, but they're playing the red hot Dodgers. Who are you worried about of those big payroll squads?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, the Phillies, the one thing that they have going against them is that they weren't even projected to be that good. So to have a really expensive team that's not projected to be that good and then also not playing that well is kind of like, well, what's going on with that guy? So that definitely worries me. The Mets and the Yankees have a little bit of old player-itis, I think. And the injuries are definitely a big part of why they are where they are. So I guess I would say that the Phillies are the most concerning. The Padres is very strange because there's not a real boogeyman, there's not really like, oh, it's because people were hurt. But I'm still not that worried because I think the explanation is, oh, just a couple people were cold at the same time, and I still have massive faith in Manny Machado and Juan Soto to get it going. So, it's like, I'm not that worried. So I'm most worried about the Phillies. We knew this would come for the Mets and the Yankees because they're probably the oldest team of the four. And I think the Padres it's just cold.
Well, and they're heating up. I mean, they've won 4 or 5 and 9 of their last 13.
Soto's starting to hit the ball.
And I mean, whatever it was that, was kind of in his head, and in last 6 games, he's hitting 450. His on-base percentage is miraculously, as only Juan Soto can do. It's up to like 400 now. Just like that, just like instantaneously. And I think it has set a lot of minds at ease here in San Diego.
I think one of the things you've seen is he's now swinging at the low pitches, and he's not necessarily doing home run damage, but he's hitting singles. That's at least what I saw. I saw a few games where he would swing at low pitches in the zone and hit them for singles, and that's not super exciting. But if you're a pitcher, you start to be like, okay, there's a bunch of singles and walks at the bottom of the zone, and there's a bunch of whiffs and homers at the top of the zone. Like, which one do I pick? And the more that they get enticed by trying to get some whiffs at the top of the zone, the more he can hit some homers. So I think that's the kind of ebb and flow of a Juan Soto season, is always walks, sometimes singles, and then a sort of homer barrage when people try to, sneak some cheese at the top of the zone. So that's sort of his plan, and it seems now like it's working again.
Talking to Eno Saris from The Athletic. It's our weekly Smart Baseball segment, and I want to talk about a Padres player we were discussing earlier this week. Josh Hader, named the National League Reliever of the Month for April. Just kind of picked up where he left off in the postseason, where he was so dominant, but he is going to be a free agent. And I just wanted to get the Eno Saris perspective on how much you think a closer really should be valued, because I know there's that sabermetric analytic view that a closer is just another reliever who happens to pitch the 9th inning, that you can't really add anything of value to that. Just because it's the last inning doesn't make it any more important. Where do you kind of land on the value of a closer?
The last inning is, on average, actually the most important. Although I will, just a little side here, using Hader in the 9th of a tie game was not a great idea, because
oh wow, okay,
interesting. Because the way that the extra base, the runner on second works, the beginning of the 10th inning with the runner on second is more hectic. The leverage is higher. The game is tighter. It's more important to have your best reliever in the 10th with the guy on second than the 9th with the clean.
Well, I talked about that yesterday. I said you need your best strikeout guy, obviously, when there's a guy out at second base and you're trying to hold him, and that would be Josh Hader. But I also said you have to get to the 10th inning as well. So I can't be too critical, because the Padres could have won it in the bottom of the 9th and won the game, and it would have been over. And the last thing you want to do is give up a run in the 9th and then not get to the 10th inning at all.
Right. No, that's true. But that's on the lineup. And you could just basically re-rack the Luis Garcia inning in the 9th, and he wouldn't have let a runner in.
That's true. Yeah, he wouldn't have let the runner in. He gave up 2 hits, but it had a double play, and there wouldn't have been a runner scored had they not gotten the free runner on second base to start the 10th. Yeah.
So that's like sort of my point, is like Luis Garcia would have gotten to a clean inning, and then Hader would have gotten to a clean inning in the 10th. So, there's a theoretical 11th to play in this situation.
You're making some tier ones really happy that are shoving into my face right now that I kind of argued the other side of it yesterday. So thanks a lot for that. I'm never going to hear the end of it.
Like, from a numbers perspective, the game was 20% tighter in the 10th than the 9th, and that's about right. But anyway, but that also just tells you a little bit about, like, yes, the ninth is tighter than the eighth, is tighter than the seventh, and so if you have someone who can pitch the ninth, it's usually they're usually more important than the guy who pitches the eighth and pitches the seventh. This is baked into wins above replacement now. It's baked into the numbers we have, and yet I still wonder if we have a blind spot in sabermetrics for the closer. Because when I look at what the marketplace has done generally with relievers, it has overspent. So if you talk about like dollars per WAR, right? Like dollars per win, if you talk about that, there's relievers in their own class and then everybody else. So everybody else gets like $6 to $7 million per win. That's what Manny got. That's what, all even those $300 million deals, they project them out. They're like $6-7 million a win, maybe 8. Relievers get like $10 million a win, and you kind of like Edwin Diaz is worth like 1.5 to 2 wins a year. He just got $15 million a year, right? So, the marketplace has been telling us that we're wrong. The marketplace has been telling us that relievers are more important than our silly wins above replacement stat. And so, I'm a little agnostic on that one. I'm willing to say, hey, if you just want to lock in a great reliever in his prime, the nice thing about reliever contracts is they're not as long. So if you can get Hader for $3 and $45 or something, I don't know if you can now with Edwin Diaz's contract, but and I don't know that I would give the Edwin Diaz contract, but at the same time, the relievers are worth a little bit more than wins above replacement suggests.
No, AJ Preller's probably working on a 13-year deal for Hader anyway, so it doesn't really matter. There is that emotional component of losing a game that you led in the ninth inning, can even more than just the loss in the standings, has that like just sucking the air out of the clubhouse effect that maybe adds a little value. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that story. I want to ask you another one though here. Eno Sarris with us. If you had told me here in May which team had the best record in baseball and which had the worst record, or at least in the National League, best record in baseball, worst record in the National League, and you said the Rays have the best record, I would have gone, oh, it's a bit of a surprise, but all right. They're off to a hot start. If you told me the Cardinals would have the worst record in the National League right now, that would have been the most stunning to me a month ago. What has happened with the St. Louis Cardinals,
Yeah, I mean, I did not have them picked to win their division, and I did not expect great things from them this year. And partially, it's because they have a pitch to contact philosophy in there, especially in their starting rotation. But generally, when they're developing starters, they have a pitch to contact strategy, which is pretty old school. And what you're seeing right now is what happens when a pitch to contact strategy goes up against new shift rules, and also, a ball that is probably a little livelier this year than it was in the past, or at least last year. So we got a lively ball, we got no shift rules, and we got pitchers trying to pitch to contact over there. Their rotation has bottom five in the big leagues in strikeouts and strikeout rate or whatever. So that's what happens. And their offense last year, I think, peaked last year. It was elite last year. This year, if you look under the hood, it's still a good offense. It's still kind of a top 10 offense that's been a little unlucky. But, really the big problem is their rotation. And they don't really have the guys in the minor leagues to fix it. And they're going to have to make a trade for a starting pitcher, I think. And that's not something they've done in the past.
Talking to Eno Sarris, a ball was certainly lively in Mexico City, especially in that first game between the Padres and Giants. I know there's not enough data for this, so it's kind of a complete guess. But if for some reason they put a major league team in Mexico City in that ballpark, they got to play 81 games there a year. Would every home run record fall? I mean, would that be the effect if they did that?
I mean, definitely the single game home run record, because they got to 11.
Yeah,
they got to 11 in that game, and the first game they played there, and it's 13 is the record, so they got pretty close. I would definitely say a lot of home run records would fall, and one of the things that's really difficult about that park is not only the ball flying out, but the pitches don't break the same. So everything flattens out.
Kind of like we see at Coors Field, but even more pronounced.
Yeah, it's 2,000 feet above Coors Field. Like, it's really up there. And I think that it wouldn't be great. I talked to, I had a story I was working on about the Mexican League. And I talked to a player who pitched in a park that's even another 1,500 feet above Mexico City.
Whoa.
And he said, I literally couldn't throw anything but a fastball. Like I like all of my breaking balls, nothing moved. It was all just straight. And I hated it so much. And I just can't imagine that pitchers would sign up to pitch in Mexico City. There would be the last place saloon. It would be like the last place any pitcher would go. And so they would have the worst pitching staff in the place that it would be so bad. It would be the average score of a game there would probably be 12 to 10.
Crazy. Thank you. Just quickly, I saw this tweet you sent yesterday.
I was going to bring this up.
I assume it's the same one. He says, just got DM'd by people on both sides of a trade offer. LOL. I know you can't tell us like who or what it was, but does that happen a lot? You get people like they want your thoughts on, some of the numbers behind players?
It was a fantasy trade.
Oh,
but it would be pretty hilarious if two GMs were asking about
that's what I was thinking, that you had two GMs tweeting you at the same time.
I do sort of informally advise a couple teams.
I know.
And when I just try to keep them like they're separate leagues and separate divisions.
So you have no conflict of interest, hopefully, but you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
I had a friend who was actually being paid by two teams, and he did the same thing. So, that's sort of the way that you navigate the space, because there's only one baseball league, and there's only 30 teams. So, if you're trying to make a living as kind of a freelancer in the consulting teams, you kind of have to have rules like that. But yeah, this was a DM about a fantasy trade, both, and I was like, this sounds familiar. And I looked at my last DM and I was like, oh, both of you guys are here.
Good stuff. We'll talk to you again next week, and you can look forward to your open again next Thursday.
All right, thanks again, guys.
Eno Saris from The Athletic on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. All right, 3 hours down, 1 hour to go on May the 4th, a Star Wars day.
Let's get it.
Woodsy at Disneyland, probably already looking at his watch going, are we time to go home yet?
Just get a corn dog and shut up.
Have a churro.
Have fun.
Relax. We'll see you tomorrow morning. We'll get a Rindle report, some headlines coming up next here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Thanks again to Saris, who just joined us for his weekly Smart Baseball segment here on 97.3 The
Son
Fan.
of a bitch.
Ben and Paul with you. Woodsy will be back tomorrow morning. Xander Bogaerts wasn't the only one who lost a streak yesterday. I believe Aaron Rodgers lost a streak of like 9 straight days going to a New York sporting event and being on television while doing it, because I didn't see him anywhere yesterday after I saw him at the Rangers game and the Knicks game and the Yankees game and the Devils game.
I saw him somewhere. I don't know which game it was with Sauce Gardner the other day. It was a basketball game.
He's been everywhere. This guy has been, I don't know if he felt like I've been locked in Green Bay for so long, and now I've been free to be in New York.
How far is Green Bay from Milwaukee? Do you know?
It's I think it's like a 60-minute drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
An hour or so. Because I know he's a huge Bucks fan. He went to a lot of Bucks games.
Yeah, but there's no one's watching the Bucks really that often on national television. And I mean, I guess Giannis is there, so occasionally. But I have seen more of Aaron Rodgers in the last week than I see of him during the football season, honestly, which is pretty crazy. They signed Randall Cobb yesterday. That wasn't a Randall Report headline, was it?
No, it was not.
I wouldn't think
It's all
so.
you.
Just to reunite another Aaron Rodgers
Report.
The Randall Report is Randall Cobb going to the Jets as well. So saw that yesterday. I want to take some phone calls on the Padres coming up later this hour after the Randall Report, 833-288-0973. But I also want to get your thoughts on a play. And I don't know if you saw it yesterday, Paulie. Tier 1 saw it from the Tampa Bay Rays Pittsburgh Pirates game. Rays won 8-1.
I missed this game. I have a feeling I believe I know what play you're talking about.
Improving to 25-6 on the season. Let's say they're feeling very confident at the moment, especially their shortstop, Wander Franco. Is it Franco or Franco? How do you say it?
Wander Franco.
Wander Franco.
That's how I say it. I don't know if that's actually
got a
correct.
routine grounder to short during the game. Moved to his left a little bit, scooped it up, 2 hands, and then as he grabbed it out of his glove, just to add a little flourish, he did a little just flip it in the air to himself and then catch it and throw it over to first, adding a little degree of flair and difficulty to what was otherwise a very routine play at shortstop. And he made the throw. Nothing bad happened, but certainly there would be a positive. If you did that every single time, I don't know how often, but once out of every 10, 15, 20 times, you'd mishandle the ball on the catch and it would be an error and you'd allow a runner to reach first base. And I saw some people absolutely up in arms that Wander Franco would make a mockery of the game by making a play more difficult than it had to be, just to add a little spice and flair and to make the highlights or whatever it was.
I had no issues with it. I loved it. And I think because of the fact that I knew that some people were ready to explode when they saw it, kind of makes me like it more.
Now, what was do you know what the score of the game was at the time? I feel like the Rays were already it certainly wasn't like a tie game in the 9th inning at that point. Now, the other part of it is, are you showing up your opponent a little bit? If you do that and you hey,
I don't care.
We're playing so well and we're beating you so badly that I can afford to do something creative and funny, because if it doesn't work out, all right, there's a guy in first base, we're still going to beat you anyway, so it doesn't matter that much. Is that disrespectful with what Wander Franco did during the game?
I don't think so. I mean, I guarantee you that a lot of people out there would say it is. It didn't bother me at all. I liked it. I'd like to see more of it.
You're not on the Pittsburgh Pirates, though.
No, I'm not.
Not sure how they felt or whether there would be any reprisals for Wander Franco.
8-1 final score. I don't know.
I mean, personally, yeah. I mean, happened. I like things that make the game entertaining.
Those are 2 of the best teams in baseball, and to see that, I had no problem with it. I thought it was fun. Make baseball fun. Baseball is supposed to be fun.
As someone who hosts 20 hours on the radio
and
every week,
if he does that again and bobbles the ball, then it's on him. He's the one that looks stupid.
I don't mind something a little controversial as well. That can spark a little discussion, as that play did from Wander Franco yesterday, or Franco. I can't figure it out. I'm sorry. Why don't we just get to the Randall Report?
All right.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Randall Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report, with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right. 2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
I do have a problem, well, not a problem, but personal problem. Those Latin names that we try to anglicize a little bit, like is it really Luis Robert? It's like Luis Robert, or are we missing a pronunciation there? Benji Gil is a San Diego native, was the team manager for Mexico in the World Baseball Classic. It's not pronounced Gil, it's Gil, but it's Spanish. It's Gil. It's Benji Gil, and I'm not even sure it's Benji either, because in Spanish it's Benjamin. So I guess his name was really Benjamin Gil, but in baseball he was always known as Benji Gil. So how do you pronounce it? The way that everyone does, or the way it should be pronounced? Scan does this on TV a lot. He pronounces names differently than other people do.
We all say Adrian Morejon. He says Adrian Morejon.
Adrian Morejon, which is the way you really would pronounce it if you were speaking Spanish and lived in Cuba or, wherever country a person is from. But it's not how we say it in America. We say Adrian Morejon because we're English speakers. And I never know what's the right way to do it.
Bunch of dumb Americans.
It's like when I was trying to pronounce Australian last names in basketball. Do you say it like you would as an American, or do you try to say it like you would as an Australian with their accent? Because that seems weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you try to say it how they say it, I guess.
It doesn't work out. I promise you it doesn't work out very well.
I know,
though.
but if you're going to make a conscious effort, I think probably try to do it.
All right.
Say it the way they say it. All right. I am just kind of sorting through this story with you on the air here.
Yeah, this is breaking news,
This
actually.
just came down in the last few minutes. Normally wouldn't talk about a college baseball coach firing, but Alabama has fired their head coach, Brad Bohannon, amid a betting probe. He was fired this morning for violating the standards, duties, and responsibilities expected of university employees,
That's
according
generic.
to the school. Yes. They've initiated the termination process. He has been the head coach of the Crimson Tide since June of 2017.
Not new at the job. And
it
they're
says-
still in the season. They're right here at the end. So it's not like the season's just ended or anything.
Now, the firing, it says here, came 3 days after suspicious wagering was detected on the Crimson Tide's game at LSU on April 28th, just 5 or 6 days ago, prompting multiple states to suspend betting on Alabama baseball. And I had seen headlines, was it yesterday or a couple of days ago, about like the state of Ohio said you cannot bet on Alabama baseball games.
Yep. They took him off the board because they felt like there were some strange wagers coming in. That's a red flag that, the
Turns out they
bookmakers
may
will say,
have been right.
Is there some sort of point shaving or, throwing of a game going on? I mean, that's the ultimate scandal in sports when you have an athlete in any sport that'll tank a game for gamblers. They get in debt and the gambler, well, if you can't pay us off, then we need you to lose this game on purpose, and we'll bet on the opposition. So I don't know the details necessarily here, but obviously they must have found something if they've already fired the head coach.
Yeah, that's no details really at all on what led to or what is defined as suspicious betting. But I'm curious to see how that plays out. But he's been fired, so the school internally obviously knows
They did
more
lose.
than we do.
They did lose that game to LSU. That a couple of big bets were coming in against Alabama on LSU that were suspicious, and they did end up losing that game. So
Interesting.
Mhm.
All right, next up, Pat Williams is co-founder of the Orlando Magic, and he is pitching a new MLB team, trying to get in on expansion, and he's proposing a $1.7 billion stadium in Orlando. There's a
because
photo
the
here.
other two Florida teams just kill it in attendance.
Yeah.
Just murder it with those, couple thousand people that go to Miami Marlins and Tampa Bay Rays games every night. Let's throw a third team
Poor Skip
into
Schumacher.
Florida.
I don't disagree with you. There's a mock-up here of a logo, the Orlando Dreamers, And so if I guess that would be the new team name that they've already started working on. There's a list of potential cities now that have expressed interest in bringing a Major League Baseball team to their city should MLB expand, which, I mean, everything we're hearing, it seems like just a matter of when, not if at this point. So far we've now Orlando, Charlotte, Montreal, Nashville, Portland, and Salt Lake City.
I like Charlotte. I like Nashville. I like Portland. You know, Padres used to have a minor league team in Portland. They seem to have a good baseball community up there.
Yeah.
Orlando, I know. I'm like, for whatever reason, is it because the spring training in Florida and everyone already has their teams, or there's so many New York transplants and they all cheer for the Yankees down there? But adding a third Florida team seems like that would be a huge mistake by Major League Baseball.
I think
no
that's
matter how nice their stadium is.
It's probably on the bottom of my list of those cities, along with maybe Salt Lake City. I don't know much about the Montreal market, but I do think bringing a team back to Montreal would be kind of cool. I think Nashville would be amazing for a baseball city. Portland, I think, would be good, especially like you have the Seattle Mariners. You're so tucked away on the map up there, so maybe adding another team to the Northwest could be cool. But
Salt Lake, what would you call the Salt Lake team? Because you already have the Utah Jazz. Maybe you get like the Salt Lake Reggae or something, just different styles of music for all your teams.
The Salt Lake Ska.
Ooh, I like that. The Salt Lake City Ska.
The Salt Lake City Blues.
Yeah, I mean,
Jazz,
it makes as much sense as the Jazz does. If anyone doesn't know, because I've run into people who don't know this, the Utah Jazz were the New Orleans Jazz when they first came into the NBA, and then they
makes
moved,
a lot more sense.
and they didn't change their nickname, just like the Los Angeles Lakers. You know, all those lakes in Los Angeles were the Minneapolis Lakers, and then they moved to LA, and they didn't change their name when they got to their new city.
All right. And finally, this probably is more suited for Woods, actually, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced their 2023 class yesterday. There are 13 inductees, and mostly the performers here. Go through the names: Kate Bush, Sheryl Crow, Missy Elliott, George Michael, Willie Nelson, Rage Against the Machine, and the Spinners.
I've heard of 5 of those. Is it 7
1, 2,
total?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I mean, the Spinners, I couldn't tell you one thing about them. I guess I've heard the name before. Like what's a Spinners song?
I'd have to look it up.
And then Kate Bush, is she in a band or is she a solo artist? Or
That's Running Up That Hill.
Running Up That Hill.
You've never heard?
I don't know. I probably heard it.
We play it on our show literally
We do? Okay.
every week. You're a big Missy Elliott fan?
I'm not also, but I've heard of Missy Elliott. I couldn't tell you any of her songs or hits probably.
You're a George Michael guy.
Yeah, I like George Michael. Late rest in peace, George Michael.
Willie Nelson just turned 90 years old, by the way, finally going into the rock and roll. Now, again, maybe you don't have to explain it, but maybe we do. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it really should be called the Music Hall of Fame.
That's a good point.
It's not.
It's a misnomer.
I mean, Sheryl Crow, like Missy Elliott was not a rock and roll artist. She is a hip hop artist. Willie Nelson is a country artist, but it's really the Music Hall of Fame. But yeah, congratulations to them.
I mean, there's a country music Hall of Fame in Nashville as well, I think. I'm assuming Willie Nelson has been in that one for a while, I would hope.
I would say probably.
Unless they have certain PED or drug testing, restrictions, and he hasn't been able to get in because he's been suspended for marijuana use for the last 75 years, but otherwise I would assume he's already in the Country Music Hall of Fame.
I would say that's probably a good guess.
But the big Hall of Fame, the one in Cleveland that everyone
Rock and
wants
Roll
to get
Hall
into,
of Fame.
He's finally getting his chance.
Yep.
Along with Kate Bush,
who you apparently have never heard of.
No, I talk about her all the time. Bush.
Bush, 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 Bush.
That was my about Kate Bush, I think, when we were talking about that.
How much time we have?
All right. Does anyone have any thoughts if they saw that Wander Franco play? Are you outraged? Are you delighted? Are you wondering what the hubbub was about that?
Now, look, if he did every single play, I obviously you're at a much higher risk of making an error. I didn't have a problem with it. If Tatis was playing shortstop and did something cool like that, I would have no problem with it whatsoever. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I think it's different. Make baseball fun.
833-288-0973. We're going to take some phone calls. You want to argue that Xander Bogart should have his on-base streak back intact after what happened with Juan Soto yesterday? 833-288-0973. It's Ben and Woods back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed on 97.3 The Fan. While you're listening to 97.3 The Fan, you can see what you missed and click to listen on demand. Missed a guest like Brent Honeywell Jr. Actually, don't even need that. We're going to probably play that for you again coming up here at the bottom of the hour. But you miss a feature like Don't Do This or any segment, you can go back earlier and download the free Odyssey app, search 97.3 The Fan, tap earlier today to get started. Earlier, I think it was yesterday, Paulie, we talked a little bit about the NHL playoffs, and I said, pretty crazy. You had Joe Pavelski of the Dallas Stars scored 4 goals, but his team lost to the Seattle Kraken 5-4 in game 1 of their second round series. I said, I wonder if that's ever happened in a playoff where a guy scored 4 goals, but his team has lost. Probably really, really rare. You're never going to see that in the NHL playoffs. So what happens one day later? Leon Draisaitl scores 4 goals for the Edmonton Oilers last night, and they lose to the Vegas Golden Knights 6-4. It was 5-4. It was going to be the exact same score, and then Vegas scored an empty netter in the final minute to make it 6-4. But the exact same thing happened 2 days in a row in the same conference in the NHL playoffs in the second round in a game 1.
That is
pretty
staggering.
Pretty
Holy
crazy.
crap.
Yeah, that happened twice in a row. A couple of basketball notes. Last night's NBA playoff game was just abysmal. I only watched a couple of minutes. Boston needed that one after losing game 1 at home. They had to get game 2, and even though Joel Embiid, the NBA MVP, was back for the Philadelphia 76ers, it did not help as they got a run off the floor, 121-87, to even that series up at a game apiece, going back to Philadelphia for game 3. Although I saw, this is kind of interesting, I saw the 76ers actually went back to Philadelphia between the games too. It's just close enough to New York that they felt like, why stay in a hotel for 2 nights? Let's just go home and then come back for the game 2. Didn't really work out well for them as they got clobbered, but it wasn't one they had to have. It was one Boston had to have. They got it. Now,
we talked about earlier, you get the MVP back and you get blown out of the water.
Yeah, that's sports for you. It doesn't always make sense. That's why we have to keep watching. I do think, I mean, not must win. Obviously, they're not eliminated, but a really have to have it game for the Golden State Warriors tonight against the Lakers in game 2 of their series. That's a 6:00 tip on ESPN. After the Lakers took game 1 already in Golden State, the Warriors have been pretty bad on the road all year. They did get 2 of the games of the 4 in Sacramento in the first round, but if they fall behind 2-0 at home and then have to go to Crypto.com Arena, where LeBron has been so good in his career at home in the playoffs, and they need to win at least 2 to get back into it on the road, that feels like that would be maybe a mountain too high for any team to climb, which is why I feel like tonight is a have to have it game for Steph and Clay against the Lakers. If they don't win this one, it's going to be a real difficult series for them to come back.
Yeah, you don't want to be down 0-2 going on the road trip.
Yeah, news at 11. Yeah, if you're a best of 7 series, you don't want to lose the first 2 games at home.
Breaking news.
That obviously is true of every team that has ever played in a 7-game series in the playoffs.
It to me, more of a casual basketball fan, but still more than, somebody that's not here today. Like, I don't know how much that really would change the betting for me. Golden State's just as dangerous, whether they're on the road, whether they're up 2-0, whether they're down 2-0. Like, that team can catch fire so quickly.
I mean, that normally I would say for sure, even if they're down 2-0, you're not going to write off Golden State, and I won't. That's why it's not a must-win game. But yeah, if you've got to win 2 of 3 in LA just to avoid being eliminated and then not lose either of your other 2 home games, like any team
I think if you're the Lakers,
in that situation,
you would feel obviously a lot better being up 2-0 than split 1-1, but I don't think you feel terrible if you're down already if you're the Warriors.
Which is why if I was like a betting man, and I'm not, I'd go heavily on the Warriors tonight. When you have a game that one team almost feels like they have to have, and the other team is like, well, we'd certainly love to have this one, but hey, we're okay going back 1-1.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Philadelphia 76ers last night. Generally, you see what happens in those games. So it's the only NBA game tonight. They get the center stage on ESPN at 6:00, and with no Padres game, I'll be able to focus in a little bit on basketball tonight, which I'm sure Woods will be thrilled about when he comes back tomorrow that I'll want to talk about that game tomorrow morning at some point.
Basketball and Disneyland recaps tomorrow. It's going to be a banger.
Yeah. And then one college basketball breaking story today. Michigan star Hunter Dickinson, one of the best big men, maybe the best player in the transfer portal, leaving Michigan, which is, pretty. It's not like, he's going from a tiny program, D2 school, to get a scholarship. He was already at a huge program, and he wanted out of Michigan. Announced his commitment this morning to University of Kansas, and they're already saying that makes the Jayhawks your new preseason #1 team in college basketball with the addition of Hunter Dickinson. I don't think San Diego State was on the list. They certainly could have used a big man to replace Nathan Mensah. Hunter Dickinson would have been like gift from the heavens if for some reason he wanted to come to play in San Diego, but I don't think they got a visit or even a Zoom call with Hunter Dickinson on that one.
Probably not.
He could have gone literally anywhere he wanted in America. Any college basketball program would have taken that guy. 7-footer with the kind of skill and talent that he has. Kansas very happy to be adding Hunter Dickinson this morning to their college basketball roster. So there's your hockey and basketball talk without Woods. I thought I kept it fairly reasonable this morning. I probably would have mentioned almost as much even if Woods had been here this morning.
Yeah, that's a fair point. You waited until, towards the end of the show.
Like I usually do.
Yeah. Didn't bury this in prime time.
Didn't go over the top on the Lakers Warriors series.
I'm stalling because I have nothing to add.
Fair enough. I wasn't expecting you to add anything to that conversation. So we're good. Padres are off today. They will take on the Dodgers first of 3 tomorrow. Mentioned it earlier. Pretty good pitching matchups for the upcoming series. Joe Musgrove, game 1 against Clayton Kershaw
let's
tomorrow
start with
night.
The broadcasts. There's no Apple TV or anything, right? It's just
I think it's just
Bally
today,
ESPN. Bally tomorrow and Saturday, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball on Sunday. Okay. Musgrove, Kershaw tomorrow.
Yeah, Clayton Kershaw has been very good.
Wasn't it like a debate about whether or not they'd even bring him back?
Yeah, I mean, he was a free agent, and he kind of signed certainly not a break the bank kind of contract. I mean, a little bit of maybe a discount veteran stay with your own team sort of deal, but he started out, he's 5-1 with a 1.89 ERA and a 0.76 whip. So he's not allowing base runners. He's still striking out guys. I mean, he's been pretty fantastic for the Dodgers so far this season. They're getting healthier. They got Gonsolin back to their rotation last week. Kershaw's been throwing well. Obviously, Dustin May's back. Urias, I think, didn't he start on the IL as well? He's back also. He'll pitch, you said, on Sunday.
Saw something. Yeah.
They pushed Noah Syndergaard back.
They want Syndergaard. I guess Robert's quote was, "We want him to work out a few things mechanically."
Yeah, he hasn't been dipped into the Magic Dodgers waters like they were possibly hoping he would.
That's just what Dave Roberts said.
Yeah.
But I kind of read between the lines as, it's big weekend. Let's get our 3 best pitchers going.
Yeah. Now they still are working on
not
the
a
depth.
rival.
They called up one of their top pitching prospects, Gavin Stone. Didn't have a particularly great debut. They did end up winning on a walk-off grand slam by Max Muncy. So they don't have the depth that they did, but with most of their rotation back and guys hitting like Jason Hayward and James Outman, their prospect, who's had off to a good start, and Muncy obviously has been the hottest player in baseball the last 3 weeks. He was the coldest player in baseball for like the first 2 weeks, and now he's been the hottest baseball player in the last 2.5 weeks with 12 home runs. They are hot. They've won 6 in a row, and they're looking more formidable than they did certainly early in the season. So big series, not a be-all, end-all series. As I said earlier, I'm not expecting either team to break out the brooms in this one. I think it'll be hard fought, and probably expect to come down to Sunday and maybe a rubber game matchup of the series.
Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah.
Blake Snell's been pitching better.
Look for a good one. Try to set up maybe one of the ESPN Sunday Nighters as a guest tomorrow. We'll keep you updated on our social media channels if we do that for our Friday segments, and get you a preview of the weekend between the Padres and the Dodgers.
Just got our Friar Friday guests. We can go ahead and tease that.
Okay.
How about 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, Friar Friday with the GOAT, Trevor Hoffman.
Oh, Trevor Hoffman going to join us tomorrow. Well, that's a promotable right there.
I saw him down in Mexico City.
I get goosebumps. I was at the game yesterday, and they play that montage right before the first pitch of just the history of Padres baseball. And
Right.
you see Garv's home run and Finley making a robbing catch over the wall, and it kind of goes through the years. And then you see Trevor at his Hall of Fame ceremony, and I get the goosebumps when I watch that. I think it gets even more modern, and you get last year's, you get Joe doing his,
the
ear thing to the Mets, and then you get Josh Hader. I would keep thinking they've got to put Jake Cronenworth's base hit, but they just get Josh Hader striking out Freddie Freeman
He struck him
to
out.
end the game. But I cannot, every single time I get the chills when I see that montage, and Trevor is part of it. So we'll have Trevor Hoffman joining the program on a Friar Friday tomorrow at 8 a.m. Looking forward to that. We'll have Woodsy back tomorrow as well. He did not join us for our conversation with Padres relief pitcher Brent Honeywell Jr., but we will bring that to you in our final segment when we come back with more Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Adam's coming in, our boss, and we'll tell you what he had to say when we come back. This hour 97.3, The Fan, is brought to you by Cal Hope. For free mental health help, visit calhope.org. Cal Hope can help. Access Cal Hope's free and secure mental health resources today. Call 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org. Well, I've made it all this way through May the 4th, Star Wars Day, and I haven't given you my personal Star Wars movie rankings yet, Paulie.
Go ahead.
My hot take, my number one Star Wars movie.
I'm just telling you right now, I have nothing to contribute to this.
Rogue One. I know it's a crazy hot take.
What?
Rogue One, I think, is the best of the Star Wars movies.
Oh my God.
Even better than Empire Strikes Back, which I have second. Then Star Wars, then Return of the Jedi. I like the original ones better than any of the newer ones. The worst one I have is the last one, The Rise of Skywalker. I don't think I got through. I think I fell asleep, and I don't think I've actually gone back and totally finished it yet. It was that awful. Do you want my television series rankings? Because I have, again, being the Rogue One fan, I have Andor as my number one television series, followed by The Mandalorian, then Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then The Book of Boba Fett. That's my live action, at least. I haven't watched a lot of the animated ones that my kids have watched. Just chime in at any time on your thoughts on Star Wars Day here.
I'm waiting very patiently.
Is Twitter blowing up with my Rogue One take yet? Are people calling me crazy, or some people agreeing, like nodding? I never really thought about it, but you're right, Ben. Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie.
Wesley says in the YouTube chat, Rogue One is freaking amazing, but it's not better than ESB.
I know that's conventional wisdom for you. I don't mind that, but I'm giving you a hot radio take this morning on Star Wars Day, and I like Rogue One the best. I think it's the best movie.
Dio Royster, buddy, says this is the top 3 of the movies, and it's indisputable. Empire, Rogue One, Last Jedi.
He likes The Last Jedi, the Rian Johnson, the second movie of the third trilogy that people didn't like when it first came out. And then everyone who knew film said, oh, no, this was by far the best one it's been in years and years. I think there are very good things about that movie. I don't love the whole go to light speed to destroy that whole thing didn't make a ton of sense to me. Or they were just kind of kept on the tether the whole time.
I promise I'm not like trying to crap on this.
You're
at
pretending
all.
that you don't know about this.
No, I really don't know anything. I have seen all of maybe 2 Star Wars movies and then like bits and pieces of some of the other ones. Like I was like 10 years old when
literally the first movie
one
I
came
ever
out in
saw,
2000.
the first movie I ever saw in my life in a theater, is actually in a drive-in, was The Empire Strikes Back.
Got it. Yeah, not me.
We got Brent Honeywell Jr. going to join us. Mario's been hanging on the line. Let's get a quick phone call in here. 833-288-0973. Mario, thanks for hanging on. Good morning.
Yeah, good Padre morning, fellas.
Yeah.
So my question is this. Does a diehard fan ever talk bad about the team that he roots for?
Good question.
And second question, what does a diehard fan consist of? I'll take the answer off air.
All right. Thanks for the call, Mario.
What
I
is
love that whole bit? I'll take the
let's
answer
work
off
backwards. What does a diehard
All right.
fan consist of?
All right. First of all, no, I'm gonna go forwards because I don't know what a diehard fan is. Someone who follows the team regularly. They don't have to go to every game. They don't have to go to any game at all. But if you watch
on the other side of the country,
if you
and still be a
watch
diehard
most
fan.
Padres games and the ones you don't watch or listen to, you read about right away on the internet.
I would just say if you're invested, and
If
whether
you-
that
yeah.
means with your money or your time.
Yeah. If you're a casual baseball fan, you like the sport, you like going to games, but you don't feel that passionately about any team, you still be a really good baseball fan, but you're not a diehard fan. Diehard fan, you're emotionally invested in the outcome of your games. You feel bummed when your team loses. You feel excited when your team wins. I certainly do about the Padres. I'm emotionally invested in that team. As for whether or not a diehard fan can criticize their team, absolutely they can. It's almost a requirement. I am skeptical actually of a fan that never criticizes their team at all.
Yeah,
I don't mind if you're an optimistic fan. I don't mind if you like to see the glass half full. I tend to do that as well. I will defend the Padres many, many times. But if you never criticized your own team, then you are I think, missing some of the point of being a fan. In my mind, if your team can do no wrong,
it's easy to
ever,
overdo it.
You know, yeah, we've seen a lot of that. You know,
We see that a
if
lot.
your whole point is just criticizing the team the whole time, I don't know if you're a diehard fan. You're more of a hater at that point. If all you want to do is criticize your team. But to me, part of being a diehard sports fan, whether it be baseball or anything else, is that you have the ability to rationally and intelligently criticize your team. You know who criticizes the Padres sometimes? Privately, probably not as much publicly. AJ Preller, Peter Seidler.
Yeah.
I mean, Bob Melvin. They're on the team. Other players will criticize their own team sometimes because you know what? It's not always perfect. Baseball is hard and teams will struggle and players will struggle and they'll make bad decisions. You know who's made some bad decisions? AJ Preller, Bob Melvin. They criticize themselves sometimes. How can you say as a fan you can't criticize a team when you know they're doing it themselves behind closed doors? Of course, they're analytically self-criticizing their play throughout the entire season. But you think they'd never send anyone down to the minors if they didn't self-criticize. It's like, you know, you struggle. This guy's not doing very well. That's criticism right there. And then they make a move and they make a change because obviously they didn't make a perfect decision the first time when they signed the guy or when they traded for the guy. So they need to, you know, trade him away or sign someone else. It's not a perfect science.
I think a diehard fan can critique anybody top to bottom on the roster, whether it's Manny Machado, you know, Hassan Kim, anybody. You can critique because you care, you're invested, you want the best. It does feel like there's a lot of haters, and like I know, like looking through our YouTube chat, Blake Snell and Austin Nola are probably two of the biggest, most controversial names, and it feels like there are people out there that like root for Austin Nola to go 0 for 4 just so that they can validate their frustration. That's not a fan.
This is a good topic. Let's talk about this with Woods tomorrow as well. You know what he feels, because I know he was definitely going with the doomsayers yesterday on Twitter, and he'll have some thoughts. So we'll pick this up tomorrow. I think very self-critical and self-aware Brent Honeywell Jr., who we talked to yesterday. That conversation that Paulie and I had on the field coming up after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Denick.
Traffic is sponsored by Bazaar del Mundo Cinco de Mayo celebration. Just a few things wrapping up our morning drive. Northbound at 5, a vehicle fire right around Palm Avenue. This pickup truck is over to the right shoulder. Also, collision on westbound 52 past Cuyamaca. Tow truck is on scene. Looks like it's blocking the left lane and clearing a crash out of lanes on southbound 67 at Winter Gardens. Cinco de Mayo's this Friday, and it's a weekend party at Diane Powers Casa Guadalajara Mexican restaurant in Old Town. Join the fun. Free parking across the street at the Caltrans lots starting at 5 p.m. on Friday. Drink responsibly. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Very excited. Our first chance to chat with Padres relief pitcher Brent Honeywell. And Brent, I know it's not your first stint in the big leagues, but I think congratulations in order. A month, first victory. How's it been going in the Padres uniform this past month for you?
It's good. It's probably the best start I could probably ask for, honestly. Just keep making pitches and keep giving us the best chance I can to win. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm extremely happy to be here. It's a hell of a clubhouse. Hell of a coaching staff, training staff. I don't think there's anything better.
You got to say up front, one of the reasons we wanted to chat with you, we're getting tight with the Cespedes Family Barbecue guys. We have them on every Monday on our show, and we saw them with a video and you guys together on the road trip. Tell me about you and those guys and kind of how that came together.
Those two dudes, those guys have been in my corner from the day I signed to be a professional baseball player. They're good people. I think they're really good at what they do. They're very diligent in their homework that they do, and they come up with some pretty good stories about everybody and what everybody they want to have on, or they do their homework. They're good at what they do.
So I just want to get to know you, Brent. So you guys got an off day this week. What does an off day look like, especially here in San Diego for you now that you've starting to get a little bit more accustomed to the city?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go play some golf. It's the first time I played golf during the year, so I think I might go play some golf.
You're not a real pitcher until you pick up the sticks, right? I mean, a major leaguer.
That's true. It's true. It's a lot easier to do when you're a starter, but you know, I ain't complaining. I'd rather throw a baseball than play golf any day of the week.
What's your handicap?
I don't even know. I'll fire off some good rounds every now and then.
I want to go back a little further. So you played actually for your dad was your high school baseball coach, and he was a minor leaguer growing up. What was that like? I mean, obviously I'm sure he's been proud as heck to see what you've come to the big leagues, but what was that like for you growing up?
Yeah, it was good. Sometimes it was tough at times, but he's probably the smartest baseball mind I've been around, and he's given me everything I know in this game and everything that you want to trust your gut feeling when you're out there at times. And not only am I trusting my gut, I trust him too, and the knowledge he's put in me. So I think the biggest thing about that is that he put some dog in me too. And it's like, you don't want to get beat out there. That's not what we want to do. We don't want to get beat out there. You go out there, you give them the best you got. Excuse me. You give them the best stuff you got, and whatever happens, however the chips may fall, so be it. But just know that you're going to be able to sleep a little better at night when you feel like you give them your best stuff than the stuff that's not as good.
Talking to Brent Honeywell, Padres relief pitcher, and you say a little bit of that dog in you. That must have been important in order to come back. You've had 4 surgeries, to fight through. Some guys don't ever get an opportunity to come back from that. How difficult was that to go through over these past 4 or 5 years?
Well, I think the biggest part of it you said was that not a lot of guys get to come back from stuff like that. A lot of guys don't want to come back from stuff like that, but and to each their own. I had friends that I rehabbed with for a long time that I didn't see get the chance. It's like Cat has 9 lives, man. I don't know. It's just I just kind of kept pushing, and I always knew, I would watch a lot of baseball. I'm a baseball fan at heart. I love this game, and it's just something that I kind of picked up, which was like, I still have the stuff to do this. I got to get put back on the right track here. I got to kind of, not necessarily reinvent the wheel, but reinvent kind of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and a lot of the movement aspects of my body. I feel like I was too good of an athlete to be moving as clunky and rigid as I felt like I was moving, and I just kind of worked my way back through that, and I had some pretty good training staffs along the way, and I wanted to pitch in the big leagues is the main part.
I'm clunky and rigid. Paul, a little better than me, but that's not you though. I can see that.
You're also not a professional athlete, so
not at all.
Now we know why. We're talking to Brent Honeywell this morning. Brent, so you're one of the newest members on the team. There are a lot of personalities, not just on the pitching staff, starters or relievers, but throughout the entire clubhouse. I'm just curious, since you got here in San Diego, who's kind of taken you under their wing and showed you the ropes and helped you out in your time here with the Padres?
Well, the first day I got here, Tim and Joe were in the weight room, and they got all their stuff done, and I was just kind of hanging out watching. And the biggest thing is, I don't necessarily need someone to take me under their wing. I feel like it's more like, don't show me, just tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to do it, just tell me what to do, and tell me the things we do here. How we go about doing it, and how we operate as a staff or as a team or anything like that. But Tim and Joe, like I said, when I first got here, those 2 guys were the guys I kind of latched onto because they were the first 2 guys I saw. But after that, we kind of struck a pretty good friendship. And I'll never forget, Tim Hill told me one thing, because I've never been in the pen before, and I said, "What's going to happen when they fire me in the pen?" He says, "You're gonna be a dog. And you're going to go out there and help us win baseball games. You're going to do it that way. No one cares, dude. Just go out there and help us win." It's a really good clubhouse. These guys in here, these great teammates, but great people too, all around.
Now, every guy in the clubhouse always has a nickname, and I've heard yours is Honey, which makes a lot of sense. Is it ever kind of awkward though? It's like, "Hi, Honey. Hi, Honey. How's it going?"
No, it's we're past that point. I think it's the easiest one you can kind of come up with, But that's been my nickname ever since we played travel ball, the league, and stuff like that.
I don't know if you probably don't get to watch much of the TV broadcast, but Mud Grant, who does the television, was showing kind of the screwball. You know, he was a former major league pitcher, and he was like, going, this hurts my arm just kind of even thinking about trying to throw that pitch. How did that come about? I mean, you know, just like, why do you do that and so few other guys in baseball will throw that pitch?
I don't think guys can throw it. It's that simple. It's just like, you know, it's just like somebody else's slider that you can't really recreate. It's just a pitch that no one can really recreate. Do I think it's the problem that I had all the way through? No, not at all. I feel like it gets misunderstood, and I feel like a lot of people don't know how to teach it. But I mean, it's, you know, it might hurt him because he's 50-something years old? Like, who cares? It might hurt him, but I throw it for strikes and strike three all the time. So it's like, you know, I think there's more to what I do out there than a screwball. I feel like I got some good stuff to offer out there other than that. But you know, like I said, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I show up here every day ready to go, and so do these guys in here. And anything I can do for these guys in here is what I want to do.
Brent Honeywell Jr. on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. He had all the time in the world for our intelligent baseball questions and no time for my hijinks.
Bad questions, Ben.
My honey joke and like, hey, honey. No time for that. But we do appreciate the time that he spent with us. We appreciate the time you spent with us this morning. Woods will be back tomorrow. Coach up next. Paulie, I'm Ben. Have a great rest of your Thursday from all of us here at The Fan.